Hey everyone, Meteorologist here and Tuttle here with you. I'm going to begin our live tornado coverage here for the evening. There are a couple of thunderstorms that are getting pretty close. Been rotating here for a while, getting a bit better organized. Starting to have that typical look to them on the appendages and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to start to cover those here across central Oklahoma as rotation increases and the threat for tornadoes this evening continues for the next few hours, probably up to about 10 o'clock tonight. As they work their way through central Oklahoma. And I'm going to get to the radar here in a second, but first I want to make sure all my ducks are in a row and that we have everybody up and running. So give me a second for some house cleaning. Okay, you guys on YouTube are good. Let's see, of course, Rumble is also getting live broadcast through the mainstream that always comes up. And let's see, you guys on Twitter. Looks like you guys are good. Okay. And then on Facebook, and I don't know, a lot of you have had some trouble today with Facebook. The page shows no data or something really weird like that. I'm not sure why. It was working fine for me today, so I'm not really sure what's going on. Maybe Facebook is having problems with certain servers that you're attached to. Of course, I'm talking to the people that can't hear this, so I don't know what the point is. But if people that you know are going, hey, I can't get him, I can't find him, that's probably the reason. I don't really have a good solution for them other than to switch to YouTube or Rumble or Twitter in the meantime until that Facebook page starts working again. That's really the best thing I can tell you. So pass that on, if you will. Do me a favor. Now, I might, go off and on tonight. For example, we may cover some storms, take a break, and maybe cover back. If that happens, I may go off the air for a bit and then come back on. And if you're not getting notification when I do go live through Facebook, you can always opt in through the link I'm just now providing in the comment section for Facebook, so make sure you check that. It'll scroll by pretty fast, so make sure you click on that. Okay, so let's see here. Looks like everybody's up and running, so you guys are good. So what we're going to do is talk about, obviously, the state of Oklahoma. We are... You have to apologize for the dogs. They get a little excited. This is looking up to the north. We do have a thunderstorm up across in north and west of Guthrie in Logan County. This particular storm has been rotating. It has a little bit of hail with it, severe thunderstorm warning for it. So I'm just looking at the AT's weather cam for that one. We have some other storms in southwestern areas of the state moving north toward the Oklahoma City metro, and those will also affect us here in the greater Oklahoma City metro area. So here is a look at the radar across the state. First off, big bird's eye view. This particular severe thunderstorm that we talked about up here in and around the Crescent area. At one point, it had a pretty decent storm structure with it, some pretty decent rotation. Since then, it's kind of fallen apart in about the last... Penelope! That child. She doesn't really know why she uses her barker. She just uses it. And she doesn't care. She's wild. She's a wild child. Dog to the death of me early. Anyway, so, new pup, what can you do? Okay, so down here in southwestern area from Mustang to Tuttle to Amber, Chickasha, Ninica, this little cluster of thunderstorms are going to have some embedded areas of rotations. Already, actually, a couple look pretty decent on a live view that I noticed a moment ago. And I'm going to pull up a live shot here from one of our Twister teams out there. So James and Russ are out there near the Amber, Oklahoma area. And so this is what they're looking at. So I can put this, that's not what I wanted. Let's do, first off, let me see if I can get the source. No, it's going to be about it. Oh, right into the rain. Well, they had a good view, and then now they got wet. So it was looking good there for a minute, but they're right under it, right? And unfortunately, these thunderstorms like today, they're not going to be so clear cut. You might not be able to see things super clear, unfortunately. They may be kind of rain wrapped, like we talked about. So we'll go back and forth to storm chasing views and radar and all that kind of stuff. All right, so let's take a little closer view of this area just north of Chickasha, coming in the Tuttle area, and see if it has anything to write home about. Now, earlier there was a little weakness with a little color differentiation around Amber. So see that little blue spot, or excuse me, green spot right here. So at one point, we had a little decent wall cloud. Looks like that, though, has since lifted in this little area. And unfortunately, it's going to be kind of they're going to be embedded within the main cluster of rain. So it's going to be kind of hard to see, if you're trying to storm track them, for example. So I'm watching like the helicopter shots and the storm chasing shots. And just like my team there, they quickly run into rain. And that might be the case. Maybe very hard visually to see them. So maybe more of a radar situation where we kind of have to look through and find the needle in the haystack, so to speak. But looking down here south and west, I don't see anything yet that's causing anything serious on the rotation side. that would preclude an imminent tornado threat right now. So this is kind of a first big picture as to what's happening across central Oklahoma. And if, let's see, between about, we're at 6:45, so we've got until about 8 to 8:30 for all of these storms to go through the greater Oklahoma City metro area. So they're just now kind of approaching from the south and west. It's going to have a lot of lightning with them. Some of these are going to have some pretty decent hail sizes with them once they kind of get going. They're still in the preliminary early stages, but they did, if you will notice, let me pop up, let's see, let's go to this map here. All right, now if you remember, earlier in my broadcast from yesterday and also earlier today, I kind of outlined like the little sweet spot of where I thought the bulk of these early development thunderstorms would be, kind of in this zone, and then they would develop in there between closer to 5 o'clock, anytime after 4, but closer to 5. And then they had the better shot of beginning to rotate once they got on the eastern fringe of this circle, and then as they moved in to this environment here in central Oklahoma. So that's why we have to watch these carefully, because even though the environment isn't perfect for tornadoes, it's good enough. So that, unfortunately, is going through highly populated areas. So we'll have to watch this cluster of storms here as they work in to the area. So Newcastle, Blanchard, just a heads up, Moore, Mustang, you will have these thunderstorms rolling into your area. And I'll be, as usual, I flip back and forth from a lot of radar products. I know sometimes that might be confusing to you, but the reason why is I have to see everything, and I have to see it really quick, right? And then I go into basically storm track mode, where we look at the intersections of where the rotation of the tornado is located. Then we plot those, street by street sometimes, and kind of obviously give you like a storm track, for example. So in other words, this cluster, they're moving kind of in a northeastward fashion for now. Once they start to rotate, though, they're going to move kind of in a more eastward fashion. So in other words, if they start to produce a tornado, they will be moving more to the east side. We'll call them right movers, whereas in the earlier stages, they will move more to the north-northeast, have a little bit of hail with them, etc. Okay, so that's what we're looking at down here in this little cluster in south central Oklahoma, making its way into the Oklahoma City metro. Up here, again, just around the Crescent area, that had some pretty decent look to it on radar structure earlier on. We had a pretty little hook echo at some point. Matter of fact, I can go back here. Let's go back and back this up. Is this what I want? Yeah. So let's go back in time. All right. So if you notice, this had a pretty decent little supercell structure, and look what happened right here. This is the one that got my attention right here. So this little hook that kind of started to form and wrap up in that little area, and I was like, okay, so that one's starting to get better. Had a little decent weak velocity couplet with it at that point in time. I thought, okay, this one might try to produce a tornado here soon. So I kind of watched it for a couple of minutes, and I was like, getting pretty close. This is why I started kind of getting things ready, because it looked pretty ominous there for a minute. And then in the last couple of scans, just as I was going on, it kind of fell apart. And then now it's a lot weaker than it was. The probability of a tornado on this is now at 7%. It was up around 32 when I was starting to take a closer look at it. So that indicates that the storm is weakened. It's gone into an air mass here that's not as favorable for that type of activity. So that probably means we're going to be focused more on this stuff down here. Now, the probability for a tornado in this mess right now is also in the lower, less than 10% category. See, there's 7% there. But the hail and the wind is obviously going to be a little bit higher than that. And what we're going to watch for is these little areas kind of that you see right here. All right. And this is going to be painful because what happens is, what's the easy part of radar meteorology? Easy part of radar meteorology is whenever you have a supercell storm that kind of looks like this, and it has a hook right here, and that's it. And that's the shape of the storm, and it's easy peasy. You always look down here in this spot. When you have this mess, you're constantly looking for teeny tiny little circulations in the velocity to find out where the tornado would be located, because it's kind of a hybrid. You do have some supercell structure built in, like here's one kind of in this zone. It's a weak one. Here's another one here, but then here's a split with one here, and here's a split with one here, and you get this hybrid nonsense, and so that kind of obfuscates things. And but needless to say, unfortunately, this is making its way into a more populated area, And these storms will have a tendency to try to produce a tornado. So that's why we're on now. And we're just kind of watch and wait. That way we're ahead of it. A lot of times I'll usually wait till they're just about to produce before I go on. This time around I had just a little bit more free time, so I thought, all right, I'm pretty much set up, so let's just go ahead and do it. All right, so here we go. For example, this little guy here southwest of Bridge Creek. This is Sand Rock Road and County Street 2900 and Cimarron Road. All right, so this is just about 3 miles northeast of Amber. Bridge Creek on the southwest side, just a couple of miles as well. So this is a potential tornado developing as we speak. Now it's not very strong in the radar data, but it's getting there. Let's see here. What else do we have on the side? So I will look at different products. All right, this is our spectrum width. So spectrum width indicates there's a lot of movement in the air. That's in different directions. So that's a good sign that that would be rotation within that spot. And then we'll watch for that to increase. Okay, so this could be our first tornado warning coming out here soon. Now, in this mess, it would likely be, especially in the early stage, probably a weak one, like an E of 0. But this would kind of be how things may get started here soon. Now, it's easy. That little mini circulation that we see here, it's gotten a little weaker in this next scan. It may weaken back out. The reason why is it's in this cluster of difficulty. So in other words, they don't have the best environment, but they do have an environment. So this is where we're going to have to kind of watch things little by little. And it may be a deal where we have a tornado that lasts for about a minute, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, and that's it. Hey, that's the best kind, right? Let's see here. My phone's going off, of course, because I hear from everybody when there's a tornado watch. All right, so Facebook is working for Jamie Ferguson. He was checking in, and he's like, hey, I can't see your page either. What's going on? So he wants to know where that hail is so he can get his roofers out there as fast as possible. Let's see. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm going to have to put this thing probably on mute soon. Matter of fact, let me just do that now. Okay. Because that gets annoying. All right. So let's see. This little circulation is still here. And then we have a new one down here in Amber. This tail end. This is 3 miles south-southwest of Amber. Probability of a tornado is 7%. Probability of a hail 55. Wind 83. So these are experimental algorithms I've used before. They're kind of guidance. I say loose guidance because they're not always that great. But what I like to see is the ramping up of the numbers up or down. That just tells me the intensity, whether or not it's increasing or decreasing. That's so far is the most I've gotten out of it that it's usable. I've seen, we've had tornadoes and the number wasn't that high. And I've seen that number really high. We had no tornadoes. Let's see. We'll watch down here. Agawam. Let's see. We'll make sure this isn't a little artifact of the side lobes in this region, but this might be a favorite area for development here. Let's see. For potential tornado development. So we'll see. There's a little noise in that on the spectrum width. So this might be a valid broad couplet. So that would be another area to watch. It does have a probability of a tornado of 8% on that one. So we'll just have to wait and see. We'll just watch these little by little. So that's 1, 2, 3 areas that we're going to watch here. That way we can stay on top of it. So listen, if you have anybody, that, hey, they don't watch TV, cool. I don't either. I don't have time, honestly. Rot your brain. But yeah, tell them to tune in. AT's Weather. They can get to it via YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, Facebook. Just type in AT's Weather, or in my name, Aaron Tuttle, meteorologist. They can also get my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free. It has a link to live link on there as well. It takes you to my website, which is aarontuttle.com. And they can track all that stuff there as well. All right, so this one's got a little gate-to-gate action. All right, so this probably has our first good look. We'll see what the next scan is. This is 4 miles southwest of Agawam, where it's right over 81. So 4 miles southwest of 81, and that's going to be on North Road 2790, and East Road 1500. That's where that circulation is going to be. So we'll see what happens with that one. Again, we're assuming that this is not going to be a radar artifact. Co-located, it seems to be in a pretty decent area. Let's see, let me do this. Yeah, I think that was going to be a little artifact on the radar that far away. So some of these times you can get that look to it, and it can look a little suspicious, and sometimes you have to wait if it's not co-located very well. And this one appeared to be at first, but the new data that came in over here, this bottom end is not quite there, and it has since diminished. So that's good. We'll still watch this area though, because that would be an area to watch, hence the algorithm's kicked up. So whether it was something or not, it's not for right now. All right, let's go back up here. Amber one, this little spot right here, kind of looks like a little hook. This is over Highway 92, South Road of County Road 1300. So that's where that one is located. We'll see if that one does anything. This one here in Bridge Creek is still hanging on. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll see new updates coming in on that radar view. While that one's coming in, let's go look at another one here real quick. And so I'm going to look at different radars so that we don't miss anything. So yeah, there's that little kink there. All right. So if you're new here, what I do is we just track all the storms on radar. I talk you through them, tell you what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're doing it, when they're going to do it. And we look just at the science aspect of the severe weather. And then when there is a threat, I tell you, and I tell you where and where it's going. I don't use a lot of fancy words typically. I don't make jokes that mama better get her spoons out and just dumb stuff like that. I'm more on the science side. If you want the entertainment clown show, that's fine. You're not going to get it here, though. I hate to disappoint you. I'm going to keep your anxiety low. I'm going to keep you calm, cool, and collected. Let's see. What is the marker on this? 2355. Okay. So, funnel cloud. All right. So, remember how we were seeing that little data? It was questionable. I was like, well, apparently a storm spotter was there, and he did see it, and it was a funnel cloud. So, we were on the right track on that spot down there. So, it did not touch down, then lifted and vamoosed. So, at least we were in the ballpark, right? All right, probably of a tornado. Let's see, coming in at 7 to 9%. This one up here, also on the low end. See what their amber one's doing. 11%. All right, then what about this one that's coming into Southwest Oklahoma City at Mustang? This will be a hail maker, by the way. This is what we call a split, right? Split is where you have one storm that kind of deviates. So we would do something like this. Like this storm here kind of branches off from the rest of the group. The rest of the group goes like this, and this storm goes like this. So it's kind of, we call it a left mover. So it moves kind of north. Let's see. So in Tuttle, this is probably that Bridge Creek one here. Old photographer, I see Chris Lee. He has what looks to be a funnel that's rain wrapped, so it's hard to see, of course. But I imagine he's looking at this one right here in Bridge Creek. All right, so this jives. I'm assuming this is the one he's looking at because this jives with what he's seeing on his view. All right, so that would be a developing tornado here, west of Bridge Creek. Back to the same spot we looked at before. Bridge Creek Road and Richland Road. So yeah, they're going to issue a tornado warning, the National Weather Service, for this spot right here. So this is one of the ones that we were watching. So you can see it just took a few minutes, and you kind of stay on top of it, right? All right, so we're going to get this thing loaded up here, so we can do some storm tracks with this. Let me get this going. Okay, so that warning will be coming out here soon. Now this is going to be kind of in the, like I said, between the Amber and Bridge Creek and Tuttle area, kind of this little triangle up here. So there's the warning. All right, so this is, we mentioned, the Mustang Road and Cimarron Road. So here's the track on this. It has Tuttle at 7:13, so that's only 13 minutes from now. That's assuming it holds together, right? So it's just a couple of miles south of Tuttle. Now this is assuming, you know, it doesn't move in a faster clip, but what you want to do, center part of your home away from all outside walls and windows. It's always lowest floor. It can be in a bathtub, it can be in a closet, it can be under a staircase. The key is put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Tornado warning, moving to the north at about 15 miles per hour, so a slow mover for this one. Let's see, the warning on this, National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for northeastern Grady County in central Oklahoma and southeastern Canadian County in central Oklahoma until 7:30. Storm capable of producing a tornado located 4 miles west of Bridge Creek, moving north at 15. Also see some quarter-size hail.
Hey Aaron, I'm on this tornado warning storm. I'm in Tuttle right now, east of Tuttle.
Okay, so James is on that storm that is in...
No, I'm in Tuttle right now. I'm on Highway 4 and 37.
Okay, it's Highway 4 and 37, so he is in Tuttle. So he's on that storm right here. So this is his live feed. All right, I got you. I've got your live feed up. Let me know if you see something. All right, and while I'm there, let me see if Bill Jeff's doing anything yet. No, I think Reed's out chasing. Let's see whether Mr. Corey, he's out chasing. Let's see here. Let's see, Jeremy's out chasing, and let's see who else we got. I think Chance is out chasing as well. He had a stream up earlier. All right, he's okay. All right, so we'll check in with these streams off and on as these guys get into the action. Okay, so back here on the Bridge Creek one. So this is west, again, on the west side of Bridge Creek, southeast side of Tuttle. This is the little color, red and green. This is where the tornado is located. So South Richmond Road, Fox Lane. So what we're going to do is I'm going to toggle the radar off just for a minute. So you can see that we do have some farmhouses currently that this tornado is going over. So hopefully they're in their shelters. Some more here in the path there. Once we get north, the next intersection, we do get into a neighborhood, a housing addition. There's a couple here. So we're starting to get into populated areas. We're approaching to closer to Tuttle. These will be the neighborhoods on the southeast side of the town. So hopefully all these guys are in their shelters. If you do know of anyone that lives in these neighborhoods, about a mile or so on the southeast side of Tuttle, give them a call, text them, say, hey, I don't know if you're paying attention, there is a tornado coming your way. Radar has been confirmed. They can tune into me. Make sure they, in this case, you always want to know weather radio, kind of a deal. You always want to use weather apps. Mine will predict the tornado ahead of time. That's AT's Weather to Go. You can try it out. Okay, so let's go to some of the details on this one. We'll measure the wind speeds here. So not a very strong one. 41 mile per hour outbound. It looks like or inbound, about 30 outbound. So that would be a small tornado. All right, so that's good. If you're going to have a tornado, let's make it a small one. But there is a nice couplet within this. Let's see, road-wise, Fox Lane, South Richland Road, coming up on Rabbit Road. It will be coming up on, let's see, this main thoroughfare is East Rock Creek Road. So if we do it coming in here, some of the housing additions, Chisholm Lane, County Street 2919, 2992, 1212. So those folks is where those housing additions are located. This will pass kind of on the east side of Tuttle. So again, this is kind of where the downtown Tuttle area is. So this tornado should, unless it curves back to the north, which sometimes they can when they're doing funky things, this is general path, and it could easily also kind of deviate to the north and east. That's why these polygons are rather large. You see how large this polygon is? It's just in case you get some erratic movement. But regardless, if you're in the polygon, make sure you seek shelter. Lowest floor, away from all outside walls and windows until the storm is passed. Let's see here. Looks like the wind speed picked up a little bit. 45 miles per hour. Still not bad. Getting 30 on the other side. Let's do, so gate to gate shear, let's see, it's 30. Probability of a tornado with this one is 24%. So see what I mean? It's not necessarily the number, it's whether or not the number has increased or decreased, and this number has gradually increased with time. So the wind speeds picked up a little bit more. Now this can be an artifact in the data, but it's got 43 miles per hour on the north side, 100 miles per hour on the south side, gate to gate. So again, as long as that's not an artifact, then we're looking at a much stronger circulation here. And then the last radar scan, which would up the strength of a tornado from an EF0 to at least an EF1 category. Now, I will, caution you. We historically we don't do tornado speeds by radar officially. They're done by an engineering study after the fact to get the Fujita scale rating. It's a damage assessment based off what's left, what it hit, what it destroyed, how well was that structure built. Modern day, because radars are getting so good, we have so many of them, we can actually do this on the fly, and we get a pretty good guesstimate as to how strong those winds are. So just letting you know kind of how that process works. All right, so let's go to, let's see, what about this guy? Yeah, really good reflectivity structure. Let me see. I don't have a strong debris signature. So in other words, I have a possible weak one here, but I do not have a strong debris signature which would indicate damage has occurred, which means it may still be just off the ground in this case. That would be a funnel. Until it touches down, technically it's a funnel. Now, I can tell you that two things are happening here is interesting. So we have kind of a little donut hole look to it, which is usually indicative of a tornado. All right. But at the same time, we have the broadening out of the mesocyclone low-level velocity couplet, meaning that these are getting quite large in this quadrant and this quadrant, as in too much, like expansion. It's like a ice skater. All right. When they bring their arms together really, really tight, really close, spin really fast. When they bring them way out, they slow down. Angular momentum. So this may be a trend here where this thing is weakening here briefly. So we'll see what happens, but that's what the radar is doing right now. All right, let's do an update on the street where this is located. Coming up on the intersection of East Rock Creek Road and passing east of Richland. So it's going over, I believe, let's see here. It's going over that housing addition we talked about. So hopefully, again, everybody in here is in shelters. Let's see. Now, I can tell you that most homes here in Oklahoma are built to code. Other parts of the country is not so much. And so a lot of times you see, homes in the southeast, for example, the deep south, they don't hold up very well because they don't use anchor bolts. They're on very poorly structured home designs, and they just don't hold up well. I'll leave it at that. Whereas, we have all these codes and requirements that you have, so they hold up much better. So you can get an EF2 or EF3 tornado to hit your house, it'll still stand and keep most of the integrity. So that's the good news. The 4 and 5s are the violent ones, but those are also extremely rare, and we don't have that here right now. This is a very weak one, if it even touched down. The radar data looked like it may have done it for briefly, but let's see. In the data that I saw a minute ago, I did not see any debris signature that was very strong. There may be a little weak one there, which means it didn't really get much, which would be great, right? Because it's going over that neighborhood southeast of Tuttle. So that's good. We want to look for that kind of stuff, right? Because obviously I can tell you that when you do have a situation where there's a tornado, we want to look for anything that's good news. So we want it to be weak. We want it to kind of lift off and on. We don't want it to be on the ground the whole time. We don't like it when it's in populated areas. So let's see, at 7:06 was the last update from the Weather Service on this. Confirmed tornado located near Tuttle, moving north at 15. Broadcast media confirmed. Now, I know what they're talking about because I've seen the video, and you really couldn't tell if it was on the ground. You could see the funnel, the dark funnel coming down about 2/3 of the way. You couldn't quite see the bottom because, again, it's in the middle of rain. So it may not have actually physically touched down. If it did, maybe it didn't touch down very long. Because I still don't have a debris signature with that. So that tells me that's good news. That's what that tells me. Means it was minimal damage. Because if it does a lot of damage, you're going to get a debris signature. And it would be the homes, that would be trees, it would be cows, that kind of thing. All right, so that's what's happening for the Tuttle storm.
Aaron, I'm right here in Tuttle on the lower.
Okay, so let's go back to those guys. Where are we? It's not what I wanted. This one. Okay, so James and Russ are at this storm. So they're in the area where it was. I've got your feed up right now. Okay, so we'll watch this for a minute. I'll come back and forth. I got to check out, obviously, all these other storms as well. So a couple little circulation couplets east of Amber that are weak, but they're there. This one down here, we'll also keep an eye on Ninica. But right now, let's see, the only tornado warning so far is this one here, and it has completely dissipated. It's gusted out. It's since gone. So that's good news. Okay, we can look at their feed, and they're kind of pointing at where it used to be. So this particular time, it would be kind of a broad wall cloud type lowering situation. But according to radar, there's no immediate threat of a tornado anymore at this point. They did launch the sirens for Tuttle, obviously, to be safe. But the good news is it has lifted, and radar data is all quiet for now. Okay, so Weather Service is going to be looking at these little circulations in amber. This one right here, this little hook, that is where our next potential tornado is going to be. All right, so let's see, County Road 1280 and 2920, and that is on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles east of town of Amber. Now, you can see a nice little structure with the hook, right? The velocity data is not quite wrapped up and strong yet, but that's also how the one that started west of Bridge Creek. Its current path is a little different. It has it moving to a northeastern direction toward Newcastle and Moore, whereas the other one's moving kind of northeast toward Tuttle. So let's back out and do a little storm track for those. All right, that would put Newcastle in about 727 and Moore coming in around 740. And this is for the new tornado warning that has come out. Radar indicated rotation within this one, not spotter indicated yet. Let's see, expires at 7:45, moving northeast at 39. Now the last one was moving north at, 15? This one is now a little faster than that. We'll read the wording on this one. National Weather Service in Oklahoma has issued tornado warning for northeastern Grady County and central Oklahoma, northwestern Cleveland County, and northwestern McLean County until 7:45. Storm capable of producing a tornado located near Bridge Creek, moving northeast at 40. So that's, again, east of Amber. All right, so that's 2 out of this cluster that we've seen that's moving through. Again, the one that was around Tuttle has completely diminished and dissipated. Let's go to the one down here in Newcastle. All right, so remember we've been watching this one off and on. Looks like this one's starting to get its act together again. Probability of a tornado is at 19%, so this one's probably going to get a warning. Yep, tail end storm. Has a little bit of a hook structure to it, looks like on radar. Let's see. On this one is going to be due south by about 1, 2, 3 miles of Newcastle. Let's see. It's going to be give me a roadway here, radar. County Road 1470. Let's see. Was that Sooner Road and Sooner Road? That's basically the intersection east of River Road. So that developing tornado is going to be in that area. Let's see here. Let's go to a couple different views. Let's see. We'll go check this one first. Let's see. This one is starting to get a little better organized. Let's see here. Let's update the motion. Rotation track, not that strong. Still in the developing stages. Didn't really have a good spectrum width. Definitely no debris signature. So we'll see if that ends up developing. Again, it's radar indicated rotation. It's not a confirmed tornado. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting that direction. We'll see if it holds together that way. Again, the one in Tuttle still is completely absent. It's gone. Now, always, I will always say this: never disregard a tornado warning, even though it's lifted. There's nothing there. Sometimes it can redevelop from the residual circulation. What you can do is just breathe a sigh of relief. Go, hey, phew, I'm down here in my shelter and there's no tornado. That's great. I'm gonna, wait till the, warning time is over with.
Hey, brother, I'm on a pretty good lowering right here off of 37.
Okay, so let's see. He's on 37. All right, I pulled it up, and so you're on Highway 37, and what's your cross section? All right, I'm gonna look at where he is on radar. He might be at this one that we're focused on, or he might be on a new area that's trying to develop out of that Tuttle one, which is probably where, because this is 37 up here, east of Tuttle. So he's in the area where that old circulation was.
1 mile north of Highway 4, out of Tuttle. Oh, Highway 37. Excuse me, Highway 37, off on Highway 4. Sitting on Highway 4, north of 37 by a mile.
Okay, 4 and 37. Got it. I'm going to close that one because Facebook hung on me there. All right, so that is where they're looking for this little lowering to see if anything new develops out of that spot. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Again, this is for that area east of Tuttle, Highway 37, east of Tuttle. So we're going to watch that circulation center. This new one coming into Bridge Creek on the south of it, we're going to watch that one. It's got a little hook on it, a little weak circulation. Does have a tornado warning with it. Storm spotter looks like indicated a wall cloud. So the wall cloud is on that one, so it's got a spotter on that one. The one down here in Newcastle also has a nice little hook on the back end. Let's see, new icon here. Wall cloud has been reported. So no tornadoes with these, but wall clouds so far with these. Let's see what's going on here in Piedmont. Like some hail and heavy rain. Right now the hail is probably pretty small, considering we've seen some big hail. So let's just go for small hail. We don't want that big stuff. All right, so the tornado warning down here in Newcastle, let's see, that came out. I was telling you how that was probably going to be issued a couple minutes ago here, moving northeast of 21. Radar indicated hail size up to about an inch. Probability of a tornado is at 50%, so the algorithm has kicked up in intensity, heading to Dibble by 8:07. So you're in about 35-40 minutes. That, of course, will pass through the Alex area first. Now the track just kind of clipped the north side. It should have picked Alex up, especially if it goes a little bit more east rather than northeast. and then Bradley should be south of this. It won't turn that hard to the right unless it's a very large tornado. Let's see. Weather Service is going to keep the tornado warnings going, even though there's nothing there, because it'll cause too much confusion on overlapping. So even though you got an old one and a new one, they're just going to leave them, which is fine. It's kind of like, it's not going to hurt things. Okay, so that's what we got down here. Let me do a little look at the velocity data. Okay, so still weak circulation center there. Let me look up here. That's also weak. We like weak. We're all about the weak. Okay, so if you're just now joining me and you're like, what's going on? I've been late. A friend of mine told me to tune in. Are we in trouble? Well, bottom line is we've got a cluster of thunderstorms that are having some occasional rain-wrapped wall clouds and funnels coming out of them. And occasionally we may have had a brief touchdown of a tornado near Amber, just southeast of Tuttle. But there was no debris signature on the radar, which may mean that we kind of skated by without any significant damage. This is just an estimate based off of what we saw on radar. Obviously, I'm not there in person, and so if it did do a little bit of damage, it wasn't enough to get picked up by the rest of the storm and get carried up aloft to where the radar beam can see it. Okay, so there's been a new discussion from Storm Prediction Center. Let's go see what that's about. Well, it's tiny. See a little circle? All right, it's a super tiny circle. Supercell tornado threat increasing this evening. Of course, it's got the greater Oklahoma City metro area in it, as we talked about in our forecast yesterday and today. Let's see. Supercell tornado threat is increasing and likely peaking into the next hour or two for parts of southern Oklahoma City metro. After several storm merges in Grady County, latest radar imagery shows a couple of consolidating supercell structures with more organized mesocyclones in Canadian and Grady counties. The near-storm environment is becoming increasingly favorable for sustained supercells, with expanding clockwise turning hodographs, around 150 meters squared per second squared of shear. Let's see, and lower 70s boundary layer dew points. Given slightly larger supercell structures moving into this environment, the supercell tornado risk is increasing and likely peaking in the next hour or two. All right, well, that jives with our forecast, which means between now and 8:30 for the bulk of the metro, and then as we get into the 9 o'clock hour, stars should push to the east side and then eventually out of the immediate area. All right, so that's what we're going to deal with here. So if you guys are wondering, that was the latest update from the guys at the Storm Prediction Center as they monitor these storms moving through. Let me see here. So this one here in Mustang, this is the old circulation that moved out of the Tuttle area. It's a convergence line with a little brief weak rotation. Let me see if his stream is still up. He may be out of view at this point. Let's see. Well, the view of the sunroof. So yeah, man, you can't see anything in this mess. That's chasing. I know storm chasing is always made. It's so Hollywood-esque, and it's always a pretty picture, and you can always see everything. It's photogenic. Not always the case. Matter of fact, a lot of times it's like that, and you can't really see what you're getting into. All right, so we're going to watch for any new development out of that old circulation. It's still under the old polygon, and it's coming right up along Mustang Road. It's through Mustang Road and East Silver City Ridge. That's the intersection of that circulation area. So as it comes in along, it's pretty much going to parallel State Highway 4. So as it comes along Highway 4 into the southeast side of Mustang, keep an eye on it. Then we'll see if anything wraps back up. Okay, so for the Bridge Creek one, it still never really did much. That's good. The only thing we've had verified was a wall cloud with it. Location on this one, let's see. I think, is it over a little? Yeah, it's over a river area. It's going to come up on 2960 and Quail Heaven Road and Sandrock Road. So that's the intersection that's going to be coming up on. So the new velocity data here is a little bit stronger. Looks like on the RFD side of things. So we're going to see what happens with that. So they updated the polygon warning for this one. Let's see, this just came out. So 7:25, tornado warning continues for northeastern Grady, Cleveland, and McLean counties. Storm capable of producing a tornado located near Bridge Creek, moving northeast at 25. On Interstate 35 between mile marker 111 and 120, and Interstate 44 between mile marker 93 and 114. Locations include southern Oklahoma City, northwestern Norman, Moore, Newcastle, Blanchard, Tuttle, and Bridge Creek. I know you guys in Moore and Norman, like, seriously, again, if you live here, it's a favorite area. Okay, let's go down here. Well, this is really picked up in the data. Probability of a tornado still right around 50%. Location of this one is Chitwood Road and what else? Well, Chitwood Road. Did Chitwood Road do a double T? I find that hard to believe. I think that's a mess in the database. Let's go down here. Let's do this. So this will be coming up again on Alex here soon. County Road 1450 and 2880 is where this developing circulation is going to be approaching here soon. But currently over Chitwood Road, as we mentioned a minute ago. Let's see, anything stronger? No, and there's no debris signature with it yet. Okay. Let's go back to this one. Again, Newcastle, let's see, it says 7:41. It's all okay, about 10 minutes for this area of circulation to start to approach you. So be in your shelters if you live in Newcastle. Obviously, and more, this will eventually get to you. It's got a ways to go. And it's still obviously on the weak side. Rest of the metro, I'll keep an eye on these. So far, just thunderstorms. Nothing to be too concerned with. So we have two areas we're watching for tornadoes. The one that'll be coming into Newcastle, and then the one that's going to be approaching the Alex region, then eventually toward Dibble. It's just southeast of Ninica by about 4 miles, that circulation center. And that's about 10 miles southeast of Chickasha. So if you live west of this line of storms, you're good. You got no problems. If you live east of this line from the south end of Oklahoma City down to, say, Wayne, Paoli, Paul's Valley, just keep heads up. We have some new development down here on Rush Springs, and this will eventually all work its way through your area, so we'll have to track those. All right, let's do some analysis, do some storm analysis here. Let's see what we got. First off, that little spot from Tuttle has now moved northeast and still is broad, diffuse, nothing to write home about. The one here in Newcastle, still pretty broad. It was a little RFD, which is rear flank downdraft, outflow dominated, but we might get a little spin up here on the north fringe. Sarah Road and Sandrock Road, that's where that location would be. So be in your shelters again if you live in that area to Newcastle. Let's see, that's going to parallel the turnpike by about a mile south. So if you live about a mile south of the turnpike, that trail is going to parallel that path for a while as it goes into Newcastle. And that's coming up on the County Line Road. Okay, go back down here. Okay, what we got on the next rad? Let's check this guy out. Timing 25. Timing on this one's 29. Okay. This is really looking good on reflectivity. So it's starting to wrap up. It's getting a nice little hook appendage. This is probably going to boost the tornado any second. let me see. Yeah, no, nothing on the debris signature algorithm. Let's go back down here. Same thing with this one. So again, these are tornado-warned storms because they're capable of producing a tornado. Not because they are right this minute, but because they're capable, especially this one south. It's still in the process of cycling and getting better organized. The one here in the north, however, is this close away? Let's see what it looks like now. It's getting pretty close. Not quite. Still got another, I'd say, or probably at least another couple of volume scans. And the radar should update about every 2 minutes, roughly. So we're probably talking about 4 minutes before it would produce a tornado. Just based off what I'm seeing here. It's slowly getting there. So location on this one for Bridge Creek is the spur off the Bailey Turnpike. That little intersection where it crosses over. See a little split here? And that's going to be coming up on Morgan Road and Sandrock Road. That's the intersection. And then that'll kind of skip to the north. East Road, 1240. Let me see if I got a better naming structure than 1240 up here. Let's see. I don't. 1240. So the Weather Service concurs, says a tornado is imminent in this area. And that's just based off the changing of the structure of the output that we're seeing. Let's go see these guys still out chasing. It's good. Let's see, let's move them here. All right, so we'll keep checking in with those guys. All right, let's do a new update. So Newcastle still is the first one in line. More comes in after that. The one down here on the south, Alex is the first in line, passing just north of town by about 2 miles. And then Dibble's coming in after that, 807. This is where we just kind of sit and wait. All right, so up here in the north, you see these thunderstorms that move through the metro. Look how they're falling apart once they get to the north side. They just don't have the instability on the north side of town that we do on the south side. Because remember the rain that we had this morning, that big cluster, that kind of messed things up for the atmosphere today, which kind of stabilized things a little bit. Wasn't enough to prevent stuff that's happening now, but it stabilized things from basically the metro to the north somewhat. All right, so I'm watching like a helicopter shot for Newcastle, and it looks like it's really trying to produce a tornado here. So it's not surprising. That kind of jives with the radar we talked about. So let's go back to this guy here. 31. Make sure this is updated. Okay. Let me update all these. Let's see. That's that one. That one. And this one. Okay, anything else going? Down here in North Texas, Jacksonville, Jacksboro rather. There's a tornado warning storm down here across the border, well south of Bowie. Montague, there's a little storm there. Or is that Montague? I forget. I used to live in Dallas. I can't remember how to pronounce their towns anymore. All right, so anyway, so that's kind of what's going on. There's nothing else here in far southern Oklahoma. So this is it. This is this little cluster we have to deal with. This will be it probably for the evening. I don't expect anything significant after that. It'll move on off to the east of I-35 once we get toward the 8:30 to 9 o'clock time frame. All right, let's see. So this is starting to wrap up quite a bit more. This little notch that you see where it kind of goes in like this right here. And this is the outbound wind toward the radar. So let's see. This right here is where we're going to get our tornado genesis. Wind speeds in here aren't that strong yet. Was it 26 and 20? But that is this first stage. Let's see. So I promised you it'd be about, 4 minutes before this thing would finally do something. And I think that we're just now there. So we're at that 4-minute mark. So let's see what happens in the next scan that comes in. Again, radar still looks a little bit better. Velocity data is better. So remember, if you're new, it's always the same thing. You take shelter in the lowest part of your home, your business, apartment. It's always the lowest level. It's away from outside walls and windows. You can put a mattress over you, like go to the bathtub. But you can be in a bathroom, you can be in a closet, stairwell, anything where you can have a little additional shelter with little additional walls to kind of surround you from the outside. The whole point of that is just to prevent debris from injuring you. Decent structures. Let me show you. Since we're only dealing with kind of weaker end tornadoes so far with this event, let me show you. So this is, let's say it's an EF2 tornado, which is the max end really of most of what the data had shown for today, which is a significant tornado. All right, so this is a mobile home. You never want to be in a mobile home. And this is a normal, well-built, structured home based off of code. What do you see? Parts of the roof gone, chimney gone, there's a part of a roof gone. We don't see the back of the house, but you might have the back wall gone. All right, otherwise you're good. EF2, you're fine. Here's an EF1, you're super fine. EF0, it's not even, it's a glorified wind gust. So that's what you got to keep in mind. Remember, these are the most common, EF0 and EF1s. So there's always going to be a lot of talk, a lot of scare words about tornadoes. But keep in mind, statistics-wise, it's always in your favor. When we get to these stronger ones, sure, you've got to be in stronger, well-built homes, but still, they're survivable. And these kind of round out the majority of tornadoes. Let's go back to the radar. Let's see. It looks like that Newcastle one. I'm looking at three helicopter shots of all the same thing. So it's a funnel 2/3 of the way to the ground, rotating ring curtains around it. So bottom line is we're trying really hard to touch down. It's not a tornado until it officially touches down, but it's like that. Doesn't mean it will do it, but it's like that. It's really close. Again, the atmosphere is not exactly perfect. It's got some good ingredients, but not all of them. So that's why it's struggling a little bit. All right, so let's do an update on the location. Again, it's on the spur of the Bailey. And intersection coming up on 76. South Council Road. There we go. Now we've got a big outflow of RFD coming in with a nice wrap around the north side. Coming up on Southwest 16th Street and South Council Road. So if I take off the radar in this, obviously you can see there are some open areas of land, but there's a lot of neighborhoods scattered about along with some farmhouses. So it is into a populated area for right now. So if it does touch down, there will be some homes impacted. So if you do know some family members in this zone, again on Highway 76, right now we've got West Golf Course Road, Southwest 21st Street and Southwest that hangs off the Highway 76, 18th place, up here around Southwest 16th. Tell them, hey, be in your shelters quick. You don't have time to think. Just go. Text them, call them, whichever. This is what's trying to develop right now. I hadn't done it yet. It's like this close to the ground. Does it mean it will? Not necessarily. But it's trying. All right. So that is our only tornado warned storm that actually is doing anything close to doing that. Down here in south, this one near Alex is falling apart on the velocity data. So right now, the only potentially tornadic storm is the one right here. Even though there is a warning down south, again, don't ignore it. Be in your shelters. If you live west of Dibble down toward Alex until that storm has passed you, it could ramp up and, you know, re-intensify. But for right now, it's not. So we're looking at about for where Newcastle is on the intersection of 62 of the highway, and south of 44. So again, we're looking at about 1, 2, 3 miles. It's right on 76, 3 miles to your west southwest. It's been kind of paralleling the turnpike. Has moved a little bit more to the east over the last couple of scans. So instead of more of a northeaster direction, it's kind of moving more of an east-northeast, and it may turn more east. If it produces a tornado, it would, but for right now, so kind of a northeastward track. Let's see, State Highway 76, and there's 350th place. Coming up on South Rockwell, and like I said, Southwest 16th, and then it'll be up on, let's see what we got here. Country Club Road is next, and then of course you have 277 out of Newcastle and 62. All right, so we do have a nice lowering. It's a nice bowl. It didn't touch down. It tried to. So radar confirms what we see visually. There's a weakness. So in other words, you have a very strong outbound wind here, which is RFD that comes this way toward the radar site. Inbound wind. It's outbound of the storm, but it's inbound to the radar. So we look at colors. Green is always toward the radar. Red is away. Now what you want to see for this thing to produce a tornado, you want these red colors to get brighter, which indicates stronger winds, and you want it to do it right here in this area. And then, so let me clear this. New scan just came in. So look what happened. This green got stronger, all right? And
TVS cell detected.
We do have one gate of data here and a gate of data here. These little blocks represent gates of data in the radar beam, all right? And they are what we call gate to gate, side to side, different colors, opposing colors. That means opposing wind direction. So this tells me that we're about to have a tornado touchdown. Now, we need this wind right here to pick up just a little bit. Otherwise, we're really close. Let me see. Let me do a storm relative, and we'll do some measurements here. It's about 37 miles per hour for this gate and about 30 for that one. So that's pretty close. That's like 60 miles per hour worth of shear. So we're just about there, just by another 10, 15 miles per hour. So if it can strengthen on the next volume scan, that's indicative that it's going to be touching down at the surface. So we're basically watching this one. If I go back down here and look, nothing to this one still. That's good. But again, stay in your shelters. You live in this tornado warned storm down here, this east of Minnetonka, north of Alex, heading into Dibble. New little action down here around Rush Springs. We'll see if anything comes of it. But for right now, it's just this guy. Now there is, let's see, did they do a new path? Let's see. It's Newcastle at now, basically. And then there should be another update. It still has that. Okay. Okay, so what has happened here? Well, in the newer scan, this wind here died down. This one never increased. And it's gotten a little broader. You got 3 gates back and forth. So it's kind of expanded, and it's a little weaker. So explains what I'm seeing, which is basically a bowl that looks like this, which is the cone of the funnel trying to come down to the ground. You can see, I can see at least some rotating rain curtains kind of go around like this. Let's see if anybody's got anything. All right. Gotta update all my deals here. All right. Okay. So that just popped up, which is so Storm Chaser says that it's official tornado in that area. Now, unless he's under it, it's gonna be hard to see. Let's see, for Rush Springs, what do we have here? All right, let's get an update on this guy in southern Oklahoma. All right, we mentioned this earlier on radar. We said, hey, a little something going on in Rush Springs. A little circulation center is developing. It was really broad, though, and it still is. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. There's no debris signature, the weak rotation. Okay. Probability of tornadoes at 16%. Somebody said, is this a funnel reported? Let's see. 2055. No, that's old. All right, what does this warning say? Let's see. 7:45, Weather Service in Norman issued a tornado warning for southwestern Grady County in central Oklahoma until 8:30. A confirmed tornado is located near Rush Springs, moving northeast at 10. Weather spotters confirm the tornado. You guys live in Rush Springs, Alex, Agawam, and Acme. Be in your shelters. All right. Okay. So they're going to put the circulation that was reported. Radar doesn't confirm it, but somebody said they saw something, so we'll just give them the benefit of the doubt. Right along Highway 81, and what's this intersection? Give me the closest one. That's not going to work. Let's go down here. I see that Tuttle circulation's increased a little bit better. We'll go back to that here in a second. Let's see here. Sometimes weird. Sometimes these databases, the highways don't show up, or the roadways. So East 1510 is what that was that it couldn't find earlier. So just south of 1510 and 81 is where that circulation center for that potential tornado here in Rush Springs. So that'll be passing about 2 miles on the north side of town, moving away from you. Again, moving to the northeast. They said about 10 miles per hour.
Headed towards Norman right now. Try to catch this thing before it gets to 35, or be south of it as it gets to 35.
All right, so moving northeast at about 13 miles per hour. That's that tornado warning storm down there in Rush Springs. That other warning that we had around the Alex has since been canceled because that circulation had been long gone for a long time. Okay, so back to the Newcastle one. Let's see here. So we still have this rain-wrapped appearance. All right, so in other words, occlusion. So this is the occlusion part of the storm. This is where if you were looking from an outside viewpoint, all you see is rain. So what would be in here, this little center part, would be the tornado should it be happening. Now, did it touch down? I'm not sure we can get the verification for that. I don't think anybody can actually verify. I don't think there's anybody underneath it. At least there shouldn't be. But otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see it because it's surrounded by the rotating rain curtains around it in that mesocyclone. But regardless, the center of this mess is, let's see, Oak Hollow Drive. Again, West Golf Course Road. What else we got in here? Let's go Twisted Oak Road, Greenwood Lane. What else? This is going to be east, by the way, of Rockwell, and then west of 62 or 277. That little spot right there is where that tornado would be located. Now I can tell you on the radar, very diffuse here, very diffuse here. So radar-wise structure, it would be hard to confirm that would be a tornado in there. As in, let me look at a different radar, because that one, certainly not seeing it. Let me see if this one sees it. This one has a little better. If there is, it is so weak. I mean, it's really weak. Let me see if I can get another viewpoint. I mean, I have my doubts. Let's put it that way. All right, let's go to this guy here. So Ben Holcomb, he saw a funnel. Now, there you go. I believe Ben. I know Ben. Ben's a good friend of mine. He's not one of those storm chasers that make stuff up. So he claimed that he had a funnel a while back, about 10 minutes ago, when we were kind of watching it. But I could see that on the helicopter shots. This guy, from this view, claims he saw the tornado at the same time that Ben sees the funnel. This guy claims it's a tornado. Okay. Not all chases are equal. The forecast, or not the forecast, the balloon sounding that they launched from Norman ahead of this thunderstorm that's moving in would indicate potential for an EF2, possibly EF3 tornado. The environment is conducive for that. We're going to look at that here in a second. All right, so if a tornado is located within this mess, it's rain wrapped, you can't see it. It is on, again, Southwest 24th Street, Golf Course Road, and North MacArthur Boulevard. New scan just came in, so let's just jump northeast now. West Lakeview Drive, just south of Redmond Drive, and that'll be just west of the highway. So we'll see. If it's in there, it's a baby tornado, like the EF0 kind of baby tornado. All right, so let's go look at that forecast sounding. Or not forecast. I'm so used to saying forecast sounding. Let's go look at the real sounding, like accurate, like just hot off the presses from the balloon. Let's go to the sky. All right, this is the sounding. Can you see that? Let me move this to the left a little bit. Yeah, you're gonna need to go way over here. Okay. So we have absolutely no cap, 0. SIN stands for the cap strength. It's convective inhibition. It's 0. CAPE is anywhere from 2800 to 3700, depending on how you want to look at it. Supercell index is off the charts, around 13. Significant hail, 1.5. So that's on the borderline of like golf ball to 2-inch size hail. Again, this is a snapshot in time of the atmosphere over Norman area about an hour ago as the storm comes in. This is the shear in the atmosphere, which is decent turning with height, weak on the winds, 10 knots, 20 knots, so a little weak. The CAPE helps to overcome the weaker shear. It's up around 188 meters per second squared, so that's right at the cusp of really what you need. So it's on the low end of some of these ingredients. Significant hail in the analogs up to around, does that say 3? Yeah, baseball size, potentially. Now, we haven't seen that today, thank goodness. And then this is the kicker here with the indices. They're the ones that say Definitely EF0, no problem. EF1, no problem. We're in the middle for an EF2. And technically, we're kind of in the EF3 zone as well. So it's saying that the atmosphere is capable of producing a tornado that would be as high as an EF3, probably more likely topping out at EF2. All right, let's see here. All right, there. Let's go back to the radar views, and we're going to do a little looky look. Let's see. Nothing else over the state, by the way. If you're watching from anywhere else, things are quiet. So let's see how this one's coming in. I've got a couple different looks. These radars are very close to the radar, to the storm. I mean, we're talking just a few miles away. Matter of fact, this one that we're looking at is 6 to 7 miles away. That's about as close as you can get. So we're going to get a really good view if there's a tornado in it. Probability of one is 43%. All right, and I'm telling you, it doesn't have one. It hasn't. I'm not so sure it ever did have one, but it certainly hasn't had one since we've been really looking at it. Let's see. Let's go to another view based off of that data. Let's go to the high-res terminal. Let's see. A couple minutes ago, not on that one. Let's go to this one. Nope, not on that one either. Again, if it's in there at all, last 10 minutes we've been talking about it, it's been a baby EF0 tornado. What else I got? Let's do this one. So again, Newcastle, just stay in your shelters until this storm has passed you. It is rotating. It is a strong storm. I just can't find anything strong on the radar to indicate anything significant when it comes to a tornado that's of any magnitude. All right, we're going to look at the storm down south again. And we'll see if this one does anything. Okay, so this one near Dibble has gotten some new life to it. Starting to get more of a little appendage developing on it, so we'll see if that does anything as it moves into McLean County. Otherwise, this one down here, north of Rush Springs in Agawam, let's see. There's some rotation within that one. That's the one that still is under the tornado warning. Let me see if there's anything else significant. Nope, don't see it. Don't even have a debris ball or debris signature. So radar-wise, it says good news. Let's see, we're at, where am I at? 3,000, 3,400 feet at most. So to sample a tornado on radar, you want it to be about 5,000 feet or under. Preferably, the closer, the more reliable, the closer you are. All right, so the Weather Service is looking at this Dibble storm and thinking about issuing a tornado warning just because of this little appendage has developed. And there's a little bit of a wind convergence in this spot. So that could change here soon. So if that were to happen, then we'd have 3 tornado warnings in effect. All right, so again, if you live in the rest of Oklahoma City Metro, you're good, you're fine, no problems, enjoy the rain. If you live on the south side, more in Norman, We're looking at a tornadic, historically, potentially tornadic thunderstorm. It had a wall cloud, it had a funnel. Whether or not it had an actual touchdown, I'm not sure. But we're going to watch this one to see if anything regenerates in this area. Probability of a tornado at one point was like a 50%. It's down to 29, so it's gone downward. It's passed through the Newcastle area. So if you guys have been in your shelters, it continues to move east of you. It's coming up on 72nd Avenue Northwest and West Franklin Road and West Tecumseh Road. So that's the little intersection that the circulation will be moving toward here in just a couple minutes. Otherwise, it has moved out and away from 62 to 77. Okay, see, these guys were heading toward Norman, he said. So they're in a get better position. All right. So again, if you're wondering, you missed. Okay, we got here. Yeah, little TVS signature. All right, so is that one coming in a dibble. So it does have a little bit of a gate-to-gate look to it, but the winds are very weak. Excuse me. All right, they're going to issue. Weather Service will issue a tornado warning for this little guy here because of what we just looked at.
TVS cell detected.
Laughlin Creek Road and Ash Road is where this particular developing tornado would be located. Just got an icon here. There is a storm chaser in the area. Broadly rotating mesocyclone southwest of Dibble. So he means wall cloud, which means he's an inexperienced storm chaser because he doesn't know the right terminology. So regardless of his terminology, what he meant is that we probably have a wall cloud in this area, which jives with the radar. All right, southwest of Dibble. Okay, let's see what else we got. Wall cloud again for this one around Agawam, northeast of Rush Springs. Okay. All right, and let's go back up here to the Newcastle one. They just continue to fall apart. It's good news. Let's leave it that way, right? We don't want to redevelop. So what's going to happen here is you guys, as you're in Moore and Norman, and you're getting in your shelters, and or you're on your back porch watching it, drinking it's not a Budweiser. Nobody can drink that anymore. Obviously, it's going to be some other beer product from rather than Anheuser. Let's see, going with the tour warning. Yep. Okay. But anyway, so hopefully you're not doing that. You're in your shelters, just waiting for it to go on by you. But right now, so the good news is last upteenth minutes, there hasn't been anything substantial on radar. There's been little minor circulations like this one here. It's tiny. In the past, this had developed into a weak tornado. So this could be something that does that as well. It's super weak though, but this is a little spot. This is, again, west of 62 and just north of the spur. Kind of a little quadrant right here. And this is northeast of Blanchard by a few miles. And let's see, from Newcastle, 1, 2, 3, about 3.5 miles. So there you go. This little spot's picking up a little bit more intensity. So we'll see if that turns into something. They're coming up on Southeast 32nd Street and Portland Avenue. Probability of a tornado within this one is at, what did it say, 23%. All right, the old circulation up here is still moving into and toward the Moore area on 35 here soon. Let's see, we're up on 60th Avenue and Franklin Road. Here in just a couple of minutes is where that would be. So if you're in that area, just make sure you stay in your shelters until it passes by, just in case it was an attempt to regenerate a tornado out of it. right, so the Dibble one, winds are picking up here, outbound from the radar. So location on this developing tornado is around Plum Road. What's our cross street? Give me something. Well, north of East Road 1400 by about a mile. There's not a whole lot of thoroughfares that go all the way through. Just some little side roads that are unnamed. All right, that'll be coming into the, let's see, from Dibble, 1 to about 3 miles southwest of Dibble. Make sure you stay in your shelters as the storm continues to approach your area. This little yellow line here with the times is the approximate time and the track. So if you notice, this takes it into the Dibble area right about the next 5 minutes. It's 10 minutes. It's about 15 minutes after the hour. All right, so while that's developing, let's see what this one's doing down here. Nothing substantial as well. All right, so those are 2. Let's see if we got anything else. Still watching this little dude south of Newcastle by about 3 miles. It's not giving up, so it may turn into something. All right. Anything else down here? No. Some new stuff's popped up around Purdy and Pauls Valley, Elmore City, but it's nothing substantial at this time. Nothing from this view, from this radar. All right. So we're going to sit here and just kind of watch southern areas of Oklahoma City, which is basically we're talking about the Moore region and Norman, down south on 35 to Purcell and Pauls Valley as these storms to the west continue to move toward that area. All right, this Dibble one, let's see, is this new? Let's see, 104. Okay, they have a confirmation of a tornado out of this. So, Storm Chaser claims it was a multi-vortex tornado. Now, in reality, most tornadoes, believe it or not, are multi-vortex. But usually they're small sub-vortices within the cone that you really don't normally notice or see. It's the ones where you have a good visual and they're a little bit wider where you get to see them like little snakes dancing around within the broad circulation. Anyway, that area, again, Plum Road, as we talked about, and there's Vine Road. So be in your shelters, again, if you live in the Dibble area. Lowest floor, away from all outside walls and windows. Now, all year long, 24/7, 365. Look at the bottom of the screen, that little crawl. I constantly give you this type of information over and over and over so that it's always ingrained in your head, right? So you know exactly what to do, when to do, so you don't even have to think about it. It just comes natural for you. Because when it comes to a stressful environment with your fight or flight brain, you know, in overdrive, it's good to have a pre-planned outcome in your head as to what you do, when you do, how you do, so that you don't have to let emotion cloud your judgment, because you don't even need judgment. It's instinctive. It's automatic. It's just like brushing your teeth. Don't even have to think about it. So same idea. So it's repetitive for a reason. All right, so that Dibble one's going to turn into be something probably significant. The one coming into Moore and Norman is still not much to write home about yet. Still watching these little eddies embedded within the circulation. But honestly, there's still nothing get your attention. Let's see here. I'm watching a view from a storm chaser in Dibble, and that does not jive with the multi-vortex from the storm chaser. I'm gonna have to stop paying any attention to these storm chasers, they're going to start making stuff up. It's dumb. So if that's the same thing this guy's looking at, I'm looking at another live shot. It's a nice funnel-ish lowering, but that's it. All right. Regardless, that is the developing tornadic area, and the velocity data is still on the weak side of that zone, but it's still there. I mean, it's a convergent zone. I just don't like liars, con artists, idiots, morons, fakers, clout chasers. It doesn't do the public any good. All right. Real slow motion. It's not even rapid motion. So it's just like a dangling low cloud that's just kind of just doing this. And that's it. Really want, if you want a good tornado to develop, you want that rapid motion. I mean, just spinning. You know, everything just rotating really fast. Nothing, none of this just. You don't want that. That's not going to get you a tornado. The other will. All right, so basically just watching these two areas. I'm going to flip through another radar view. Let's see what else we got. Let's go to this guy. Yeah, that northern one, the Weather Service is going to leave it. Just so you know, they're going to leave it because they don't want to provide confusion. The reason why I say that is because, look, see what this is? Let me show it to you. So this polygon is for one tornadic warning storm, right? And this one is for the other. So you see how they overlap in this area? So if they cancel this one, and they should have a while back, but if they cancel it, that might create confusion for this area. Which, as this storm, even though right now it should move in this direction, maybe in theory would want to kind of go up in this direction, and then you're like, well, wait a minute, I thought we were out of the tornado warning. So they're going to leave that going. There needs to be a better system than that, my opinion, because obviously you don't need to be seeking shelter in this zone if you don't need to be. So I see two views, one from Dibble and one from Alex, of nice wall clouds with lowerings and little weak funnel attempts, but nothing touchdown and nothing, tornadic. So this guy here, southwest of Alex, this little spot here is what we're going to see if this does anything. Let's see.
Hey, Aaron, I'm just south of Alex, and we've got a developing tornado.
All right, so that's Jeremy. He's in this little spot.
My stream went down, but it's developing right now. I'm going to try to get it back up. Hey, buddy, I'm in more on this tornado orange storm, and it's rain wrapped as can be, but I'm right here in it.
Yeah, they were actually going to cancel that one, but just let it keep going. There's nothing on radar that shows anything of significance, but hang with it if you want. Okay, Jeremy. Yeah, I pulled up your stream earlier and it was old. But yeah, you're in a perfect spot, so let me know if you see it. All right, so we'll see what Jeremy has. He's in this little area here for Alex. Let me go to a different radar view. Let's see. All right. So they just updated the tornado warning for this Alex storm. Let's see. Tornado warning storm for East Central Grady County and McLean until 8:45. Severe storm capable of producing a tornado located near Alex, moving east at 20. So generic stuff. That kind of a wording comes out when you have a wall cloud and you might have looks like it could be a ragged funnel, and it's a storm system rotating, but there's not really a good location because it's not really a tornado yet. So that's the kind of wording you get on that, which is a little more generic, a little more loose. All right, let's see what we got. Ugh, it's terrible. 6,000 feet. Is there anything else worth looking at on this one? No. I'm just going to kill this one. Alright. Don't need it. Okay. So for the Alex one, it's kind of on the southeast side of town. Location, Chaparral Road. And give me the cross street here. Well, 8th Street runs east of town. It's going to be south of there by about half a mile. So coming up basically on Cemetery Road also. So that's where that circulation center is going to be. Okay, so they did cancel, or at least it expired, the one up here in Moore. Now, ironically, this actually has the best look I've seen to it. Isn't that the way it goes? With this nice little inflow notch here and a supercell structure there, which means we watch this little spot here to ramp back up and produce a tornado. We'll see if this happens. Structural-wise, reflectivity looks healthy. Velocity, it's a little weak, but it's in that old broad circulation area, so that could happen. So just heads up, you might get a redevelopment in the next few minutes where a new tornado warning would go out. So even though you guys now are clear of the old one, you might have another one. Probability 14%. So we'll see what happens with this one. Watch that one here carefully. We'll look at another radar, which is literally right there. Oh yeah, we got two. Oh, that's a great view. All right, this is literally a mile and a half from the radar. We got two circulations. We got 1 and 2. Now they're both weak. You have zeros. But you could have, in this case, in theory, twin tornadoes within this one. Oh, wrong one. Let's go back to that. Yeah, winds have picked up a little bit on this one. Over farmland without a farmhouse. Make that distinction. You can have farmland without a farmhouse. Now over here, looks like maybe a little bit of a farmhouse, or it could be just a workstation, mechanical site. And there may be a couple of those around here. It's hard to tell. Resolution's not that good. Otherwise, lots of land without anybody on it. Let's see here. So we'll see what happens in these two little circulation centers. See if one takes over dominant, if one gets stronger. But this will be coming up on 48th Avenue, south of West Indian Hills Road, right on West Franklin. And then this other one is just north of Tecumseh and 60th. So there we go. That just wrapped in. All right. So in this case, we have a lot of inflow. Oh, don't want that one. We have a lot of inflow coming in right here on the back side. And that's the outflow. It's a good thing it's not a significant tornado, because if it were, it might take out the radar, because it's coming right over the radar. Let me see if this other one, I've got a good view on it. Let me go here. Yeah, so this the radar is actually located in the mesocyclone under the wall cloud, like just feet away from where the tornado would be, should one develop. Let's go to this one here. This image updates a little faster. Let me go with the higher tilts. All right, so the tornado would be located in this spot right here. And this is 40th Avenue Northwest and Franklin Road. So this might be a small tornado here. All right, now we'll go back south from there. We'll see what else we have. Dibble and Alex. Okay. Yeah, so the tornado will be right over the radar site. So we'll know if it was a tornado because it'll knock the radar offline. If it's a big enough one, obviously. But it looks like it would be a small one, so if it's an E of 0, E of 1, it won't do anything. It'd have to be a stronger tornado. But that's a direct hit, so you wouldn't want a radar direct hit by a tornado, just so you know. That wouldn't be good for anybody. Okay, so the new tornado warning that took place of the old tornado warning, up here for more, is in effect. So that was reissued a few minutes ago for the circulation we're talking about until 9. Storm capable of producing a tornado located over southern Oklahoma City or 7 miles southeast of Will Rogers Airport, moving northeast at 15. Interstate 35 between mile marker 110 and 120, and 44 between 108 and 114. Norman, Moore, Newcastle, Course, Draper, Stain Lake Draper, West Lake Thunderbird. All right, so we'll see if this one intensifies as it works its way east of 35. It's moving really slow, so it's going to take it a minute. Let's see, time on this one, 21. Okay, so interesting. So radar's still up, still getting data out of it. So if there is a tornado on the ground, on top of the radar right now is a weak one. All right, let me go look down southwest. So the Alex one, let's go take a look here. This little spot here is broad generic circulation still. Probably the tornadoes at 5%.
Aaron, I'm on it, dude.
Okay. Oops, let me go to get his deal. I got your stream up. It looks like there's probably a weak tornado that went right over the radar site.
That's exactly where I was, brother.
All right, well, that's where he was. All right, so in that view, doesn't look like there's anything on the ground from that view. Let's go take a look at the radar. All right, so he's in the spot though. Right place, right time. Okay, so somebody did report a tornado. Oh, okay, that was his partner, Russ. All right, so he did say small tornado touchdown briefly. Visible circulations on the ground. No debris observed. All right, that was when it was 1 mile west of... Well, he was 1 mile west of the radar. but you just heard him say they were right on top of it, so they could have easily been too close and underneath it. But to get that visual, they probably were, because it's a lot of rain wrapped in that area. But at least we had that as a verification, so that's good. Good job, guys. I just saw your storm report on the radar map. I wish I would have known, though. I was looking at radar. Oh, that's all right. Can't get them all. All right, so we'll track that tornado going through. Well, it's not now. It was a brief one there for a second, but the residual circulation moving through I-35 is kind of gusted out RFD style, so it's going to have to recycle. See if anything.
60th. It's a small final touchdown as across 60th, so it's trying again right now.
Okay, so we're going to watch to see if it does it again. So we'll pull up his feed here in a second. Dibble, let's take a look at that one. This location, pretty good little notch on it. Velocity's a little weak, but the reflectivity looks pretty good. Right along 240th and Meridian Avenue. So be in your shelters. Again, if you live in Cole, this will be making its way toward your area, McLean County. Then we've got the one at Alex that still has not quite gotten its act together. Still weak circulation though. So we'll see what happens with that one. But meanwhile, this is the other one that's of significance coming into Cole, so make sure you be in your shelters for that one. Eventually heading up toward Goldsby. Okay, so let's go back to our radar view. Let's see. All right, so he's watching that little area there. So he's in the right vicinity. All right, so a lot of low clouds, obviously. So visibility is not that great. There are little so this is kind of the what we call the RFD, which is the storm winds that come out in this direction. All right, and then they have to rotate back around the north side of this usually to get like a tornado on the northeastern tip somewhere in this area. Is usually how that works until this gust slows down. And then things kind of catch up. Sometimes if the gust is too strong or too far out, it never does quite produce the tornadoes too removed from the back end circulation. Probability is at 49% for a tornado though. Again, so be in your shelters if you live in the more South Moore, North Norman region. The latest position that we have as far as anything that's been visually tracked, right around 12th Avenue and West Indian Hills Road. So it's kind of moved almost due east. So that would be the new track for that one. So be in your shelters if you live in that area. Again, it's not strong at all. It would be very, very weak, which is good. It's not like it was when we were tracking the Norman storm a few weeks ago or a month ago. I've lost track now how long ago that was, where it had a very strong rotation signature, where we were measuring like 100 plus miles per hour inbound and outbound on radar, right? And,
Aaron, I'm in more. Take my live if you got it. I'm on it.
So, all right. Well, as soon as I get a signal here. I'll just kill it and refresh.
Yeah, you're good.
I've got it. This is my version of the Gettner, just so you know. It's like a walkie-talkie. Okay. Wish this signal wasn't so terrible. That's another thing about storm chasing. You rarely have really good cell signals. A, because you're going into an area that's very populated and the tower is already heavy in use, or you have too many storm chasers on the tower, and that also causes a problem. But this is his little spot here. You can hear the sirens in the background for him. So 12th and Broadway, I think is what I heard him say. So there's ragged lowerings on this. So that's just the way it is, and they'll watch for a little finger funnel to dip out of that is what they're looking for. But anyway, so that's what's going on right now and more. So that's good news. In other words, it's not a completely wrapped up tornado. It's just a storm that can potentially produce one. Down here in Cole, however, this is a pretty good wrap up signature. Let me see if we got any debris with this one. Let's see. We'll go to this map here. No debris signature yet. Some light and reflectivity or light and values. We'll see if that gets darker. It'd have to turn to like blue. Rotation track is there, but I've always seen much stronger, so it's very, very weak. But that would be the location. And this is, again, on the south end of Cole, right along Portland Avenue. Let me update my warning motion here. So this looks pretty decent as far as structure goes. This is on May Avenue, just south of Cole by about a mile. Probably due south, just west of May Avenue is where this is going to cross over here in just about a minute. Let's see. So that would be your other potential tornado. These are not, just so you know, these are not strong tornadic signatures. These are very weak. In other words, these are indicative of storms struggling to produce a tornado. They're not indicative of storms that have no problem producing one, and they're producing a strong one that's doing lots of damage. This is complete opposite of that. This is almost it couldn't quite get its act together situation so far on the majority of these. And when they have come down, they've been very short-lived. So that's what I want to talk about. I think I mentioned it earlier, and I got sidetracked, I think, by watching this thing and more. Okay, so in my live broadcast, I talked about why we don't have the potential for long-lived, very strong tornadoes. And that's because we didn't have the upper-level support in the wind field aloft. It was going to cause for messy storm structures. All right, so this one's really wrapped up. It's got this nice little donut hole approach to it on the radar. So rain wrap signature. So this is reflectivity on the left. We call it Z for short. This is V for velocity. I know you're like, Z? Why would be reflectivity be Z? Wouldn't it be R? It's a good question. Z stands for dBz, which is a measurement of power. But anyway, so we're looking at this little wrap up here south of Cole by about 1.5 miles. Anyway, so that one, be in your shelters for. It's getting a little stronger. The one in Moore, again, there's really nothing there. I'll come back to it. I'll keep looking. Just nothing there yet. Nenica's got some activity brewing. There has been some, looks like wall clouds, rotation reported, rapidly rising. So there's at least been a wall cloud reported. And it looks like the Weather Service issued just now a tornado warning with it for Central Grady County until 9. Storm capable of producing a tornado located over Agawam, moving east at 15. So, and Alex. So radar indicated for this one. So that's another storm to keep an eye on, in addition to the old one from Alex, who never really got a good beat on that one. And then this one down here is kind of taking over its place. We'll see what it can do visually on radar. All right, so the Colwyn still wrapping up here pretty good. It's still weak though, so that's good. It'd be a weak tornado. Stay in your shelters for that one. Probability went from 19% to 41%. So that's an increase. That's a ramp upwards. This one up here in Norman. More. Still looking good. I can't find anything on radar. Looks decent. All right. Let me look at a couple other views. Let's see. Still got some wind with it. Some pretty good wind. You know, one thing I have seen the absence of on these storms is the lack of very large hail and the lack of very damaging winds. What we've had instead are these little weak, transient potential tornadoes within this cluster of nonsense. But that's good. That's good all around, actually. Let's see. It's funny because what that does mean is even though you have the data that suggests the atmosphere can support something, doesn't always mean it's going to produce what it can support. All right, so this cold circulation center has moved. Now it's southeast about a mile. Let's see. Let me get this visual view here. 260th Street. It passed over May Avenue, so it'll be coming up on Fernwood Avenue here soon. So that's where this little circulation is going to be. Let's see. Again, nothing up there, and nothing down there. And this guy here is pretty diffuse. So basically what we've had is a lot of tornado warnings for very weak tornadoes, potential tornadoes. I've seen a lot of, funnels, some wall clouds, and all the live shots from the helicopters to numerous storm chasers. I haven't seen one yet that has a cone or condensation cone that's been all the way to the ground, visually top to bottom. Like there's no second guessing. It's a guaranteed tornado. I have not seen that. But this Colwyn has the best opportunity in the short term of producing a tornado. Structure looks good. Still weak on the winds, and I'm looking at looks like a funnel that's about 2/3 of the way to the ground. Trees are blocking the bottom view, and so if you're a storm chaser, technically you can't call that a tornado. You can call it a funnel, and you can say halfway to the ground, 3/4 of the way to the ground, but you can't call it a tornado because you can't visually see it. So if trees or something in the way is blocking it, that is how you are supposed to mark it down officially. But that said, sometimes you can't tell, and you just kind of have to go, well, it could be a tornado, right? Hard to tell because you don't have proof. Could be either way. So you mark what you see. I'm looking at another live shot. Chris Lee, my former photographer when I was at Channel 5, he's got one, and he's got almost all the way to the ground. You can see there's a couple of trees in the way, but there's like a little needle toward the end, so it probably is on the ground at that point, even though you can't quite verify the very bottom of it. Radar looks pretty decent in that area. Wind speeds, though, are weak, 24 and 24 miles per hour. So it's if I look at nines, they've got a better view of the tornado, but even at the bottom of it, there's not much. It's kicking up. There might be a little dust. So that's right now what it looks like. Very weak tornado right now. Very, very weak. All right, so anyway, so that's the latest with the Colwyn. that's really it. That's either both visual confirmation from storm chasers and on radar as far as the velocity data is concerned. Let me see if there is a tornadic debris signature. So there actually is, in 3 frames. It's weak, 4 frames, very, very weak. So that means it picked up some dust. It may have gotten like some leaves and some tree limbs, and that's about it. So it is just enough to show on radar co-located that there was at least a little something there. Let's see.
TVS cell detected.
But it is quickly falling apart on radar. Yep. It is quickly falling apart. I can still see the funnel though. Very needle point down toward the bottom. So it's a very small tornado. I haven't got about you guys and more. Right now there's no tornado. One could always potentially develop, but for right now there's nothing. So I'm watching the one that we actually had confirmation of in McLean County down near Cole. This is passing well south of Goolsby, kind of running near along State Highway 74B. And then that'll be coming up on Main Avenue. That'll pass about 2 miles southwest of Goolsby here soon. All right, so basically it's just a funnel at this point. The tornado that was on the ground is lifted. The velocity data is extremely weak in that area. Wow, I have never seen such weak velocity data actually have a very small tornado with it. You usually get a better, stronger signature. But it is what it is. Okay, again, that's on West Cottonwood Road. Is where that circulation center is located. This is going to be about 3 miles east of Cole. And about, is that Main Street? I think we said 74. That runs out of Goolsby south. So it's going to be about 1 mile west of there, just north of that Cottonwood Road. The track will take it south of Goolsby, pretty much near East Ladd Road, where East Ladd Road and 74 intersects, where that's going to be. Still looks good as far as reflectivity structure on the radar. It's in that little bowl, little hook area. And still don't have anything for you guys in the Moore area. So this is the only storm Okay, so what else we got out here?
At Sunny Lane at Northeast 4th.
All right, he's still going. Let's see what he's got. He's still going on. All right, let me see what else I got on radar at this point in time. For the state, we've got this guy up here around Perkins. So we've got this dude. He's moving northeast. Of course, it's already past. Well, it's getting past 33 here in a minute, and that means Stillwater's next in line. It's about 9:15. So it's kind of already past you guys in Perkins, the little heavier rain part of it. Another guy here southwest of you may clip the west side, otherwise it's kind of going the same path as the other one. So Stillwater, you'll be getting that particular thunderstorm. We'll see if it does anything. Let me look here at the velocity data, and there's nothing there at this time. Go here. Nope. All right, so keep an eye on that one. Okay, so we still have this cluster of showers and thunderstorms here on the east side of the metro through Tinker and the split on 40 and 240. Coming up to the radar down there, continues through Hall Park and Norman, back down toward Goldsby. There's our little hook there coming in east of Cole, south of Goldsby, and then back down here to Dibble. Then finally out here to Ninica. So this is the whole line there. We have some new stuff out here in like the Purcell and Paoli area. But this is nothing. It's just rain and nothing else after that. Okay, so let's take another close-up view here. What's going on with these guys? Let's see, what time is that? Let's go to this one. All right, so Oklahoma Highway Patrol is actually going to shut down I-35 southbound at Highway 9 and northbound at Ladd Road so that the Cole tornado can pass by and not affect any travelers in that area. So it's actually pretty smart. All right, so this is the Cole tornado that's still continuing. Looks like it's just recycling, basically. So the circulation's better, gate to gate's a little bit better. The wind speeds are still very light, so it's still a very weak tornado. I'm actually watching a view right now on Channel 9 from Valcaster, and they've got a good view of it there. And then now 4's got it and 5's got it. So now they all got it. Looks like a Wizard of Oz scene because it's all night vision, so it's all black and white. So it reminds me of the Wizard of Oz tornado. All right, so again, if you're in Goldsby, it's going to pass south of you. The closest it would get to like the immediate town area, let's see, East Chestnut Road is probably the closest on the north fringe of it. So the path, though, will take it through south of Norman on Highway 9 and between Noble. All right, so my weather radio went off earlier, and I'm not sure why. Jody will have to tell me. So if you're in Noble, be in your tornado shelters. If you're South Norman, be in your tornado shelters. As this particular tornado is moving out of McLean County and into Cleveland County here in just a couple of minutes. Again, Goldsby. We talked about where it's going to, the intersection is going to cross over. It's basically East Chestnut Road and 74. So be in your shelters, though, and still if you live in that area until it moves by. It won't take much longer. Center part of the home, lowest floor. The tornado itself lifted again, so it's kind of doing a little dance. It's down 1 minute, up the next. It's very short-lived. It's very small. The width of it looked on the order of, 30, 50 yards type deal. So it's very small in nature. Okay, but there is the velocity couplet, which is holding its own. Let me look at the debris signature. So the debris signature is still there. So that's that little blue area. So you can see how I went from in this zone. So you're going to watch this area here as it moves here. You're going to watch this change color to blue. Here we go. See all that? Darker blue. So that is the debris signature now with this tornado. Meaning that on that second go around, when I touched back down, it picked up enough dirt and dust and trees and limbs to get picked up in the radar beam. All right, let's go measure the speed of this one. Let's see, 33 and 45. So again, that's in that EF0 to maybe EF1 category for tornado. Let's go back up here to the southeast side of Oklahoma City, far east, northeast more, just to see if there was anything there. Not seeing anything substantial. So that's a little TVS marker. That stands for a tornado vortex signature. All right, so I got a stronger new data point to come in. 33 inbound, 49 outbound. I lost the 33 inbound. Probability of a tornado, let's see, 39%. So there you go. So there's an example where the algorithm is still not like what you would think representative of. If it's a tornado, would it be like 100? If it's not, would it be a 0? And it wouldn't be anywhere else in between, considering, which way it could go. And you would think, but it seems to be the best way to use that is just a ramping up number up or down. It's experimental, so I'm kind of learning how to use it on the fly with you. All right, so again, be in your shelters for Goolsby. We're still looking at the intersection for passing by you. Chestnut, East Chestnut Road and State Highway 74 is the approximate location. All right, I'm going to go look at that storm in more detail. Yeah, that goal's been really wrapped up here. Let's see, 290th Street, which I think is also East Chestnut. Yeah, once you get west of 74, it's 290th. It kind of did a, what did it do? It went almost north. So it was going northeast along this yellow track, and all of a sudden it went due north. So it was probably occluding and dying out here just southwest of Goolsby. So that's good news if it's dying out, but it kind of stalled and didn't move. But stay in your shelters until that one finally finishes doing whatever it's doing. All right. Let's go take a look up here. See if there's anything new in this area. don't see anything there. Let's go to this guy. So there's an area that's moving into the right over here at Twin Lakes, and I'm just making sure that there's nothing that is developing. There's a little weakness there, but it's nothing to write home about. I'm not impressed with it at this point. All right, well, still, that's the old circulation, though, that went through more a long time ago, that at one point in time had a brief tornado with it when it was at the other radar site. Okay, so we'll continue to watch the Goolsby one and see what happens with this. Weather Service just updated the track to moving now, instead of it moving northeast, they now have it moving north-northeast. So it has it moving now, instead of at the intersection we were talking about, because it became occluded and went back to the west-northwest, it'll now have a more westward jog. So it'll go over West Center Road and 74, just west of there. So if you notice, this is the polygon for the original tornado warning. And it was originally doing this, which is how they draw it. They draw it right in the middle from the polygon. And because this thing started to occlude, which means it started to die, it decided to do this. So that's why the polygon is so large, to accompany and accommodate the unexpected, which is, oh, okay, well now it's going to die out, and now it's going to move a different direction as it does so. So as long as it's steady state and there's no changes in the storm structure of the storm itself, then the steady state line usually holds up pretty well. But when it starts to do some weird things because of some influences that happen when you're in a convoluted environment like this, you get the death of a tornado, then things start to change course a little bit. So stay in your shelters if you're living in this tornado warning from around the Norman area through Noble. And then we'll see what happens with this circulation center. We may get a new one that's kind of focused on this little guy right here. So that would be kind of developing in this region. And the old one dies out here over Goolsby. So we'll see if this one happens. If so, again, that's pretty close to Noble. We'll take a few scans to see what happens there. Let's see, back down, that's good. Nothing to date on that one. I just don't see any other storms in the immediate area. Let's try this one. Nope. Now also keep in mind that at night, people see a lot of things, and they will call in rotation, they will call in funnels, they will call in wall clouds. In reality, it's just a lot of low cloud stuff called scud, just a lot of little mini updrafts, and that all gets misinterpreted. So you have to filter a lot of that stuff out with radar data to see what reality shows. If there's a couplet there or a weak circulation center on radar, then sure. You can go with that and make it official, but otherwise
TVS cell detected.
It's usually not. All right, let's see here. So we'll see about this one down here north of Alex. We'll see if anything comes out of it. Nothing ever did, as far as I'm aware of. I never saw anything stronger on radar. Keep an eye on this one here in Dibble, see if that thing does anything. Right now, though, the only one that has any potential in the short term is the Goolsby one. All right, let's see what Perkins. Let's go try that one again. By the way, I appreciate when you guys like or share the broadcast that you're watching, or rumble it, or whatever platform you're on. Twitter is going to bring back periscopes. I guess it would be hearts. But point being is, by liking the algorithms, then it gets shared more. and then it's easier to find the next time around I go live for tornado coverage. So it doesn't take much, just a click of your mouse or your tap of your finger to hit the like button, and that helps out on the algorithm side. And then for those of you folks that donate during this time, for those content creator donations, that's awesome. Appreciate that, including me in that. Let's see. Each platform's a little different in what they do. Rumbles, I think Rumble, I'm not even sure what they call it. And you have, of course, Facebook does Facebook Stars. Twitter's going to come up with something here soon. And YouTube has got like a super chat function. All right, so anyway, just checking this one out in Stillwater and Perkins. I don't see anything substantial, just a thunderstorm. Nothing that special. There's not even a severe on it. So just wanted to take a look, make sure we're missing anything. All right, so this one over here in Byers, Rosedale, well, I just came out of the nowhere. Look at this, nothing, right? That was nothing, still nothing. And then the last two scans, hook echo. So this is the hook on it, and it's still getting its act together. Let's see. It's not tornadic yet, but they put a warning on it just in case. All right, so if you live in the Byers area, make sure you're in your shelters. And if you're in Winnett and Asher, make sure you're in your shelters. Let's go to location on this one. And then I'll go back to the Goolsby one. Whoa. All right, that's along State Highway 59 and just east of Mitchell Hill Avenue. Coming up on 133 split from 59. All right, so that's the location of where this tornado is going to be located. Should one develop, it's slowly getting there. All right, so let's do a storm track for that one. So Asher comes in about 9:27, so it's about 25 minutes from now. And then you've got St. Louis at 9:41. Didn't have Byers on here because it looks like it's going to try to pass north of you, but just be in your shelters because obviously it's right next to you. And that would be within the next 10 minutes of arrival. It'll probably again pass about a mile to your northwest, maybe a mile and a half. But just in case that one does something funny. But it's new, so it's still developing. So potential developing tornado here. Moving on this is to the northeast at 28 miles per hour. Expires at 9:30. Let's see. Wording on this one. Tornado warning for north central Garvin, northwestern Pontotoc, southwestern Pottawatomie, southeastern McLean. Severe storm capable of producing a tornado located near Byers, moving northeast at 25. They got Asher, Waynette, Byers, St. Louis, Rosedale, and Trousdale, just for the storm itself in general, not necessarily the circulation part. Okay, so no warning on this stuff down south and west. Let's see, this one, this tornado warning for Noble still continues. Has this little hook here. So it did what we were talking about earlier, which is it reformed in a new position just west of Noble. So that happened in the last 5 minutes after bringing that up. So let's go take a look at that in more detail. So there's that little notch right here going over at Noble, right over 77 in Cleveland County. So it's crossed over the county line. So Noble, again, stay in your shelters. This is the new circulation. The old one died out over Goolsby. So here's that track that went through Goolsby, and that's what's left of it. So it's long gone. But because of the structure of the storm, the new one formed east of there. It is now moving in your area. So location of this, let's see. Spot, it's going to be coming up on Etowah Road and Riverview Drive, Leslie Drive, in this little northwestern quadrant of Noble. So yes, that's going to be a lot of homes in that area, a big neighborhood. So if everybody's in their shelters. Right now it's like a weak tornado in the data set. Let's see, let's go another view here.
TVS cell detected.
So again, there's Riverview Drive, Leslie, Etowah, Front Street, 2nd Street, kind of all on the north side, Highway 77. Probability of a tornado in the algorithm is at 43%. All right, so again, the Goolsby one, you guys can come out of your shelters. It's long gone. It dissipated. It's over with. There's still a tornado warning up here for this spot, but I just never found anything on the radar that was even worth tracking. This is from an old warning that never had anything with it. It's going to expire here in a few minutes anyways. Let's see. Again, there's the Rosedale one. It's got a TVS with it. And then these guys down here aren't doing much for right now. Okay, so we're coming up on 9 o'clock. So I mentioned between 8:30 and 9 that all these storms start to work their way east of 35 here in the greater Oklahoma City metro area. So that has happened out here from Choctaw down to Norman. So Norman's kind of the last in that batch. There'll still be some residual storms though. Looks like it's going to track pretty close to the same area. So these guys will still track kind of in this direction over the Noble region and Dibble region, which means most of Norman should be out of it because they should have kind of this little track here. It may keep clipping the south end over the next hour, which is longer than what I thought. They'd be closer to 10 o'clock. And we'll see if the trend, though, is for these to weaken. They could continue to fall apart, possibly. And if that happens, then they'll fall apart as they come into Norman, and it's not a big deal. This guy here, since he's all alone, he'll have a go at it for a little while. In prior model day that we looked at, I'll draw the line here. So this is Tulsa. In prior data, all the storms still had a favorable environment through here, through 9 and 10 o'clock. And then by 11, which is about when they get to this region, they started to slowly fall apart. And by the time they got to this level here from Tulsa South, they were just a former shadow of themselves. So if you're watching from around this area, from Bristow and Tulsa and Henrietta, Colgate, Ada, all that stuff, Seminole, these are continuing, and the older data from today to continue to weaken with time. So there has been some power flashes noted with Noble. So that just indicates obviously some damaging strong winds, which is usually due in this particular case of a confirmed tornado. All right, so on the radar we still have that little notch. It looks like a strong arm, right? So you just kind of go like this. So you want to look for the strong arm hook, and in the fist is where you're going to have your tornado located. So this is our strong arm, and there's your fist, and so that's where you're going to look for the tornado when you're looking at these radar signatures. So when you want to be a backyard meteorologist at home, that's what you want to look for. Or if you're just out somewhere, right? And let's say you're not in this part of the country, and you've got something like this coming your way, and you're traveling, or you're camping, or you're at a friends or family's house, at least you now know a billion times more than what they're going to know, because you're going to know how to read a radar that they're not, and you can tell whether or not you're in danger, and that they need to seek shelter in case you don't have access for whatever reason to either maybe some good weather coverage or an app, although mine works across the entire country. So AT's Weather to Go, it'll predict these tornadoes. By the way, the winds have kicked up just a hair. Well, they were, and now they're gone. All right, so it crossed over that little section I had for Noble, right in this zone. And then the last scan is gone, fell apart. Let me check another radar view and see if there's concurrence. All right, what happened here? Hold that thought. Okay. So my other radar data we're looking at, there looks like there was a blip in the data outage on some of these other sources. So we'll wait for the new scans to come in on those. And this one was a different feed that wasn't affected. So it seems to be doing all right. And it didn't have, let me see, can I go back? Let's see here. All right, so I'm just putting this into motion, animation. And we'll go right there. That was when it was strongest, and then it lifted. So it may have done some significant damage when it was at the northwest part of Noble. So if I were to look at the wind speeds at this point in time, that was pretty strong. There's 50 miles per hour. There's 68, 44. So that's definitely going to be an EF1 tornado. Could it have possibly been a weak EF2? Possibly. Regardless, that data's over. In other words, that strength of that tornado is gone. And there's still remnants of a circulation, so there'd be a wall cloud, maybe even still a little bit of a funnel. But as far as an actual stronger tornado, that's gone. But see, that's kind of an example where you can be there 1 minute and then gone the next. All right, so we'll look at the back here in Dibble. I know you guys are probably getting tired of being in your shelters, right? So, let's see. There's a thunderstorm approaching from your south and west. There's little spots of like baby rotation. I don't see anything screaming, anything imminent. So we'll watch that area. Let me see. What's happening up here with this one? Anything? Still can't find anything worthwhile. I don't see anything worthwhile in this storm here for this old tornado warning, which expires like 2 minutes. All right, so let's go back down to this one, in Asher and Winnett. Let me see if there's anything left in that one. No, it never really got its act together either. I mean, it tried to, but it had a hard time. Never really got to where it needed to be, which is totally fine, of course. All right, so but stay in your shelters just in case something were to redevelop out of this one. Guys and buyers.
Sitting on Etowah Road, just east of 60th Avenue, watching a major wall cloud come through.
Etowah and 60th. All right. So if you're in buyers, just stay in your shelters. The little circulation centers a couple miles to your northwest, and just let it pass by. Bowlegs is coming up about 10 o'clock on this one. All right. Let's see here. This Noble one. Let's see. It's going to eventually hit pink, but not for probably about 50 more minutes. All right, so we are East Post Oak Road, Center Lane. What else we got? 48th, 36th, 72nd. Here's 60th. All right, so he said he was on 60th, so he's looking right at it. Let's see if you can see anything in his lightning shots. All right, so if you look, there's a little lowering right here. All right, that's his wall cloud bowl. So he would be looking for, the little tornado to form, something like that. But as you can see, there's nothing there. I got your feet up. Yeah, you're really close. It's a good view. So this is James and Russ. I've been out here chasing this little area all day. This is just a tree that gets highlighted every now and then, so don't get excited about that. All right, so anyway, so he was pulled in and take a quick look at that, see how it looked. About as I expected. So again, not tornadic at this point in time, but that's the leftover circulation center. So this report of this tornado, which is 2 miles to the west, which is right when we're talking about the northwest corner of the town, had power flashes reported, and you could see a cone tornado. So that jives with the data. So there's going to be a little bit of damage here, probably in the northwest part of Noble. Let's see. So the data did pick back up. So I don't know. We had like a little temporary outage for some reason in the radar data. That can happen when the National Weather Service data feed gets power bumps or disconnects, and they have to do switches. And occasionally that happens. It's obviously never good when you're trying to track a tornado live. But you have redundancy built in, but it's not always perfect. Okay. Anything else? Nope. This is still the only game in town as far as anything left. Noble, you guys can come out of your shelters. Let me see if you ended up getting any debris from that. Let me go back here and go backwards with time. Let's do this one. Yeah. So there was some debris right here. So this little blue spot here is when it's going through the northwest part of town. And it got its strongest going through that little zone, and there's a next scan here. And so there is this little blue pockets of lower correlation coefficient, which means that's your tornado debris. So it did hit some probably communities in here. Hopefully everybody's okay. And then it was gone after that. Okay. So this is a leftover circulation. That is... let's see, we're approaching 60th Avenue and East Post Oak Road. And it's completely fallen apart. So it has no chance of dropping a tornado anytime soon until it recycles and it gets better organized. And that's probably going to be at least a few minutes at minimum. If, again, it even does it, we'll watch it. Again, but also, I always say this, you're still under tornado warning. So just because you have good news now doesn't mean you just, go back to what you were doing and not seek shelter. Just wait till it passes over your area. So heads up for you guys up around Pink. The storm will eventually get to your area. Will it still be tornadic? Will it still be just as strong? Hard to say. The data holds it together in theory, and up until it gets to about your point before it starts to fall apart. And that was from earlier today. So let's just go take a look, see what the new stuff says. We're going to look at a couple different models here. Let's go to this one. All right. Well, there's this little secondary batch it likes after midnight there in southern Oklahoma. It keeps these guys going actually pretty good. I still think they'll be marginally severe though. I don't think they'll be as robust as they are now. Of course, it doesn't even know the actual real reality. This is not even real. It doesn't even know where the storms are. We'll go to the real data. So let's refresh this one. All right, and we have this guy here. I have to go back. Actually, okay. All right, we're going to load this up for you. So this is the real-time, high-resolution, short-term forecast. Model data based off of the actual current event unfolding. So let's see what it does. So it has those storms here on top of us, moving very slow, painfully slow. All right. And that run had them completely dying out, like fast. I don't believe that one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the point of, let's see, it's 9:30. Let's go to 10 o'clock. So this is 10 o'clock. 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, that's 11 o'clock. That's fine. We'll go 11 o'clock. All right. There's a member solution. There's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. All right. So what's the take home? The take home is the one that we're tracking is pretty much going to be the only game in town that it has and will have a constant helicity tracker with it. That's the gray area. That's this little thing here, which is indicative of either potential tornado or wind and hail. Let's see. So if it does hold together up to about the Shawnee area, so going through Pink, etc., it would, in theory, continue steady state about what it is now, which is cycling up and down with potential tornado through its life cycle. Ironically, what does it do with those other storms that are out there back behind it? It has them kind of trailing in the same area and then falling apart because it gets in the rain-cooled deal. All right, so there you go. There's a short-term forecast that the Weather Service uses to help guide their longer-term forecast for this type of an event. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Let's see, it's new. Circulation center is still there, still broad, still diffuse, still weak, likely non-tornadic. Let's see, we're going at the intersection of 72nd Avenue Southeast and East Cedar Lane Road, just south of there. So that's the latest position. Again, kind of following this yellow line, so coming up on East Cedar Lane Road and 84th Avenue next. And we'll see if something new develops between here and there. All right, then we'll go to Dibble. I don't see anything here. Let's see. Look at all these icons for wall clouds. And then you got a few peppered in here for tornadoes or funnels. Like this guy called it a tornado funnel on the ground. So it wouldn't be a funnel, it'd be a tornado. So there's obviously a lot of lack of training in the storm chaser community on proper terminology, which was never a thing in my day because it was typically the meteorologist that would chase, not just random Joes. All right, so let's see. Dibble, what do we got here? Two little notches, one south, one east. Either one may try to do something. Not impressed with either one. Let's see what's going on north. You guys in Stillwater, I moved to east of you. Still just a regular old thunderstorm, no big deal. Some new ones popped up between there and Wellston, Kearney, and McLeod. Not a big deal there either. This one out here. Waynette, it's finally looks like trying to get its act together again. So remain in your shelters. Looks like it had to get out of the buyer's area to do something. So it may eventually try to boost another tornado. Currently, it's right over the town. That's where the wall cloud is and potential funnel. So make sure you're in your shelters until that moves on by. Probability of a tornado is at 25%. We'll see if that goes up with time. East of there, a little shower. North of there, a little light thunderstorm at Trivy. No big deal. All right, so this one still has this nice little hook echo appendage on it. So again, we have our not quite classic, but close, supercell shape. It really needs to kind of jet out and kind of go in like this. Is a little bit better. So we'll see what happens. And just so you know, just because this little appear to be like a little bit of a hook does not always mean a tornado. It just means that is where the area would form one. It does not necessarily mean that there always is going to be one. So the new reflectivity structure has a little bit better of that notch here. The velocity data did not come in with it, but they're having some data feed problems. Let me go to another view. See what this one looks like. Alright, this one's the same. Let's see. Waiting for the new update on this one in the next few seconds. There we go. So that one came back in, has this nice little hook on it, a little detached there. So they're sending out reflectivity product, looks like in different timestamps from the velocity data. I don't know why they would be doing that. Let's go to this one here. Alright, so there's that better arm. So reflectivity keeps getting better in the last few scans from these different radars I've been looking at. The velocity data is still working on it. It's got some couplet areas to focus on. So it would be in this little zone here, these little red and green where they come together. But it's not very strong. So Waynette, emergency management in the town of Waynette did verify there's a wall cloud, but not a lowering. So that verifies what we looked at on radar a minute ago. Okay, so this one will likely try to produce another tornado. It might even have a little funnel. Might even have a very, very weak EF0 tornado. That location, 84th Avenue, and just south of Highway 9. Let's see, so let's go over here, because I think this is the new update. Pink at 1017. Let's see, moving northeast at 15. And wording on this one. Tornado warning for southeastern Oklahoma County, northeastern Cleveland County, west central Pottawatomie. Severe storm capable of producing a tornado is located over southeastern Norman, or about 4 miles northeast of Noble, moving northeast at 15. Let's see here. We've got southeastern Oklahoma City, eastern Norman, Noble, Pink, Brooksville, Stella, Newalla, Lake Thunderbird, and Little Axe. This includes interstates between mile markers 170 and 175. All right. Now that sounded like it covered almost the whole entire metro. Now, when you look at this, this is completely different It is well east of 35. It is well east of 77. So this isn't even affecting any of you folks. It's certainly really not technically most of southeast Oklahoma City. It just barely clips over here, south end of Choctaw and up toward McLeod. So really the only impact of the potential tornadic part will be right along Highway 9, right up toward Pink. Unless it jogs, to the one way or another, to the north or to the south. That's the general path it'll be on. But that's who needs to seek shelter from the tornado part of it for right this minute. All right, the State Highway 9 and 84th Avenue is where the location of this one is located. Still very weak, though. Extremely. All right, let's see what this data shows, if it's any different. So it has that nice hook, has that nice ball, has that little fist look to it. Talked about earlier. There's the track on it, little yellow line. East Imhoff Road over Jim Blue Creek is where that'll cross over. All right. Nothing back coming from like Noble, for example, or Cole. Anything tornadic. However, you guys out there in Noble, that emergency crews that may be responding to some damage and checking out homes and people in this area on the northwest side of town, this thunderstorm, this secondary one, is coming your way. Of course, it has lightning with it, so you need to be careful. So that's going to be a danger. People out there roaming around. There is confirmation of damage to homes and businesses in Noble, at Maine, and Etowah. Okay, so let me see. Let me drop back here to the Dibble one. Did they issue a new warning? Yeah, they did. All right, so the tornado warning for this Dibble storm, central Cleveland County, west central McLean, until 10:15. All right, so it's a storm capable of producing a tornado located near Dibble, moving northeast at 25. We've got southern Norman again, Purcell, Noble, Slaughterville, Lexington, Goldsby, Dibble, Washington, Cole, and Crimer. All right. Excuse me. Gotta love allergy season. Okay. There is nothing low level in the velocity data, so let me look upstairs. All right, well, never disregard a tornado warning, regardless if one exists or not. There's nothing that exists low levels anywhere near Dibble on radar, but stay in your shelters because it's official warning. Okay, let's go back up here. no changes, still this weak couplet. So for sure, wall cloud, probably a funnel, and maybe a small EF0 tornado. And that'll be coming up on 108th Avenue and Highway 9 is where that intersection is going to be. So again, it's kind of running right along Highway 9. We'll see if it jogs to the northeast toward Pink, which is right now is where the official track takes it. Let's see, this one down here west of Asher and Winnett, that had a confirmed wall cloud with it earlier. Let me go back a few frames. And a little noise in the data set, but otherwise pretty decent rotation with that. Oops, let's see, wrong one. Go back to that one. Has a nice little hook on it. So you guys in Asher, stay in your shelters. It is about 2.5 miles to your north and west. It'll cross over Acme Road, also known, looks like, as North Road 3390, and just north of 1390. Then from there, it's going to go over 177, just north of Thule Road. So pretty decent velocity. Let's see, that's at 2,000 feet elevation. Let me go look at some other radar data. Let's see here. Now, tonight, I've had the radar kind of split in two panels. So I usually have reflectivity on the left, which is just the rain, so you can see the storm structure, and then I have velocity on the right. But when I look at this, I usually also flip through some other products. I want to check out some other things, like a debris ball signature, etc. So right now, we got a debris ball here in the reflectivity. It looks like it's starting to show up, which is usually indicative of a stronger tornadic signature. However, the velocity data is not all that strong. Rotation product isn't all that strong either. We just haven't had anything really strong. It's all been fairly weak. And that is really good news when you're dealing with tornadoes. You never want the big ones, right? Okay, so anyway, we're going to watch this one still. Let me update my track speed. Probability of a tornado is 22%. Other storms out there that really aren't doing much. Okay. Up north, not doing much. Okay, so we still have the two here. Our guy that's moving toward Pink slowly. Still a little bit of a weak gate-to-gate couplet within that. Latest right over 108th southeast and Highway 9. And then back out here to the southwest toward Goldsby. This is that other tornado warned storm. It just doesn't have the low-level look to it yet for anything confirmed on the tornado side. All right, let's go back to this guy. So Hera's in here somewhere. It's not on this map for some reason. But southwest of Pink. Let's see. So this particular latest storm track thinks it's going to pass on the south end of Pink along Highway 9. So kind of still paralleling the highway. So we have three tornado warnings in effect. One has a decent velocity couplet with it. That's the one near Asher. The other one has a weak velocity couplet with it. That's the one on far east Norman. Sahara heading up toward pink. And then the last one, which doesn't have really any signature low level since the warnings come out, heading again through the same areas as before, which is from Goolsby to Cole and points south. Let me see if there's anything in this data. There is not. So Washington, it's coming up here in a few minutes, and then Slaughterville for the center of circulation. So what happens is on these little storms, okay, I'm going to give you an example here of what you're going to look for on structure. This structure of this supercell looks kind of like this. Okay, this one also looks messy, but it looks kind of like this. And then this one looks like this. So, you tell me, this is your classroom session, 1, 2, or 3. Which storm, type in the comments, do you think has a better potential of producing a tornado just based off the reflectivity structure? Do you pick 1, do you pick 2, or do you pick 3? So the answer, when you have let's call it a reverse hook going in the opposite direction, in this direction, you do not get a tornado. When you have one that's going straight down, you typically do not get a tornado. When you have one that went from straight down but is now curved back up to the east like this, then yes, you can get a tornado. So if you pick 3, then you win the meteorology question of the night, as this has the most favored structure to produce one. Doesn't mean it will, just means it has the best structure and reflectivity to do so. So this has to reverse its course. In other words, this now has to look something like this. Okay, so it's got a ways to go. And it could take a few minutes, it could take half an hour, it could not happen at all. This one is close. It just has to just kind of nudge up a little bit like so, and it'll get there. And then this one, of course, has to keep its look to what it's doing. But needless to say, all 3 of these bear watching because we're in that environment where that can happen. But when you're looking at, which has the highest probability at this point in time, you would pick this one. Now, if you go through the velocity, which is just the wind speeds, and we look at each one, this one, you see some weak of the colors together, but this broad, it's nothing really of interest. All right, where's our other one at? Was it? I think it was down here. There's nothing down here. All right, so let's go down here. All right, so there's our Asher. This is our little TBS signature, and actually this isn't as good as it was a minute ago. So then you go, okay, well, I've got 3 to watch. 1 had the best opportunity, and even then, it's not even looking that great. So
TVS cell detected.
it's kind of falling apart in this area. So it's going through recycling. All right, so you've got 3 tornado warnings, none of them currently producing tornadoes, but could produce tornadoes if they change their configuration. That's going to take some time. What time is it? It's 9:45. All right, so I do see some damage. Live report from Noble, one of the TV stations. So there you go. It's confirmation. We did have that tornado go through. Looking at the damage right now. EF1. Yeah, right now, just for what they just found, little touch of EF1 in the section that they're in. They may not have hit the worst, of course. Okay, so let's go to my other view. All right, for the Asher one, let's see. So it still has a little bit of a couplet here. It's jumped north of Asher. The old one didn't really do much. This one is kind of a newer one, and it's got some gate to gate with it. It's on East Road 1360 and 3400. So this one's getting its act together again. Took a few frames. So we'll see if that gets any stronger. But St. Louis being your shelters. Probably a tornado earlier was, I think, what, at 20% at one point, and it dropped to 8. So we'll see if it goes back up now that it has this new circulation feature with it. Okay, so this one down here in Washington. Okay, it no longer has that. It no longer has that look that was out here, right? So it's now gone mostly straight. So now we're going to wait to see if it can't make this look to it. So if that were to happen, then that increases the developmental potential for a tornado as it moves towards Slaughterville and south of Noble. Okay, then the other one, the old residual circulation is right in here, but still nothing. So that has to get its act together. So pink, as you're in your shelters, just know that the storm that once was has not been any longer for quite a while, and it's not really doing anything yet to re-intensify the tornado generation yet. And it may not. All right, so this newer data points come in. That's actually pretty decent. It's 41 and 28. So we're looking at a EF0 tornado coming into Pearson. Let's make sure you guys are in your shelters down here. Look at a couple other radar views. Let's see, how does this one look? Yeah, this confirms. And it's also gate to gate. That's up around 55 and 23. Make sure I've got the right speed on that. Alright, so that means I should be able to see a pretty decent measurable signature here on this guy. Spoke too soon. Interesting. So I've got 3 different radars to look at, and each one has a slightly different view with a slightly different elevation. And the one I'm using here didn't have the best view of it as far as looking at the wind speeds. Okay, so for the Washington tornado, you see how it's starting to get that look to the east now. It's no longer up and down. It's more out this direction. So we'll see. It's still trying to do something. It may eventually get there. The pink one's not going anywhere. It's dying. and then back to this one again. Oh, that's why the other radar was ahead of this one just by a minute, I think, and that's why it didn't have as strong of a signature, but there's still a little debris ball, a little donut here, or not donut, but a little circle. All right, let me see if there's been a debris ball with this on the data side. It's hard to say. Right now I'm going to say no. Yeah, I'm going to say no for now. Okay. So we'll see, again, Pearson, stay in your shelters. There's just a little weak circulation there. So you might have a small EF0 tornado coming at you. All right, let's see here. Nothing yet on that one, and that one either. Anything else? No. All right, we're gonna do a little forecast for, while we wait for these things to do something, we're gonna go to the internet. Okay, so we're gonna look at Friday. Okay. By the way, scattered showers and thunderstorms over the weekend, so just know you might have to cancel some of your plans or have some alternate plans in place as an upper low moves out of Texas. Okay, let's see. Back to Friday, right here. And that is around the 5 o'clock, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And I had talked about this before in my lives. So if you're trying to make plans, as a school district for the graduation ceremonies outdoors, it's going to be tough because you could, in theory, get some storms that develop on top of us and then quickly move east, and the rest of your evening is clear. But I'd say that was like going to Vegas and betting a lot of money on some odds. But that is a potential solution. Earlier, obviously, the 4, 5, 6 o'clock window, though, you have lightning in the area. So if anything too early, you have to deal with that. So this is just one model output that suggests that could be the outcome of that. All right, now we're going to go to another one here. All right, this one also, let's see, about the same time frame, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, has these thunderstorms on the south end of the metro to the south and east, blowing up. And then by, here's 7 o'clock, moving far enough away to where lightning is not a problem. So if your ceremonies, etc., don't start until 7, in theory, you could get away with it. All right. And then they continue down south into Texas. There's some big cluster of thunderstorms, though, Friday afternoon there in southern Oklahoma. Jeesh. Ugh. Let's see. That was that one. Let me see if... Nope, that's not in. All right, now we're going to go to this guy here. All right, so for Friday, boy, it kept it quiet. All of central Oklahoma. Some stuff up northeast, some stuff down south. All right. So the problem is we have a boundary in the area, and we're going to see how each model handles that boundary. Like today, a lot of them didn't produce thunderstorms. Just so you know, a lot of the models were dry here. They weren't all stormy. Okay, so this one is our I like to get carried away model, and it gets carried away. South side of town again, same time, about 4 o'clock, through southern Oklahoma, stretching back into northwest Texas. Again, that's a lot of lightning activity in the area through. There's 7 o'clock there. All right, take home. So far, the take home is either that we have it's quiet central Oklahoma, which I don't believe, but we get storms that develop soon enough, early enough to where they move south and east away from Oklahoma City metro area, far enough away by 7 o'clock. That's where you don't have to worry about anything in the evening for activities. So that's good. All right, let me try another one. All right, this has got stuff bubbling up in town through same time frame, 7 o'clock. It's out of here. All right, you're getting the take home. This is the Vegas odds I talked about. I guess you'd be rich, because it looks like that solution that was on the table is looking more and more likely. There's another one by 7 o'clock. It's completely out of Oklahoma City Metro. All right, there you go. I think there's the last one I can check. They all say the exact same thing. That's pretty good confidence. All right, this one. Oh, what is this one doing? Oh, that's Saturday. So it didn't do anything. Well, it does a little bit here. It has a really hard time. There's 7 o'clock. That's mostly south. Yeah. Okay. All right, there you have it. So according to the model data, the plethora of data for our convective models, if you have any outdoor ceremonies for the metro area Friday evening, as long as they start at 7 or onward, you can get them in. If they start at 4 or 5 or 6, forget about it. Okay, let's see what's happening here. This little weak circulation center that passed northwest of Pearson. Long gone. Nothing to write home about. That one's actually weakening. Big time. All right, that storm's dying. Good. So that's kind of what the earlier data had suggested would happen. This one around pink. Let's see where we're on time. Yeah, we're good. Pink, it's also falling apart. Nothing to that one. It goes back to this Noble Slaughterville one. No, it's falling apart. Okay, that's it. So everything's done. All right, so they won't be producing any more tornadoes. They're all falling apart, and the structures are terrible. So there's gonna be garden variety thunderstorms at this point. Little wind, little hail, a lot of lightning, brief heavy rainfall. So that was it. This has been, let's see, I started at 6, I think, roughly, somewhere in there. So 4 hours of tornado coverage. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, those that are still here. So there's always a big bump at first, and you kind of straggle off toward the end, because once they get out of the central Oklahoma region, that's where the bulk of the audience jumps in there, because they go, oh no, is it coming to the metro? And then they kind of, oh, we're good, we can breathe in there, and they're gone. But those that hung in there, those from out of Oklahoma, from other surrounding states, that was just curious about the weather and likes to kind of tune into this stuff. Thanks for watching. You can, anytime we do have a threat for tornadoes here in Oklahoma, I do go live to cover them. I don't cover normal thunderstorms. In other words, the standard stuff, little wind, little hail, doesn't really affect me any. it's normal. It's the life-threatening stuff's what I focus on. So if there is going to be like a significant event, we do have winds maybe in excess of 90 miles per hour plus. That's a significant event. I'd cover that, for example, because that's kind of like having a small tornado or a weak hurricane. When it comes to hail, if it's going to be a really big thing, like widespread, damaging, wind-driven hail, that I'd probably cover. Done that before, but otherwise it's usually just tornadoes. Do forecast discussions when there is something to talk about. It's usually around 9:30 in the evenings. Sometimes I do them on lunch, which is like around a quarter to noon, somewhere right around that time frame. Some days a week I'll do that. Same thing for the weekends, about the same time frame if it's during the evening. I put a blog on Sundays, kind of give the weather for the week ahead. I have a free weather app. It's called AT's Weather to Go. It's free, Apple, Google Play. You can search my name, Aaron Tuttle. Name's on the screen. That's how you spell it. Or you can search for AT's Weather. That's also on the screen. And that app will predict tornadoes before they actually occur, giving you more time to seek shelter. In other words, the algorithms check out the storm and they say, you know what? This one's developing. It's going to ramp up. It's like having my brain, but on your phone. It's going to produce a tornado, and this is why, and this is the confidence factor I have in it. It gives you like a scale of like 1 to 10. All right, so you get a number that's 7, 8, 9, 10, hit the deck, because statistically that's going to be a tornado. If it's like a 4, 5, and 6, it means it's close. It can go either way. You'd watch it, but go ahead and start getting to the shelter. Just kind of keep an eye on it. If it's lower than that, just kind of watch it. But usually all that stuff precludes a official tornado warning from the National Weather Service. Those will come out after the fact. So this kind of beats that to give you more time to seek shelter is the point of that. Let's see. So you can always visit my website, aarontuttle.weather.com. And I think that's about it. So appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Again, thank you for your support, either liking, sharing the content, telling your friends and family, or also just donating through Facebook stars, YouTube super chats, or fan subscriptions. There's various ways you can donate to your creators or tip them for the job that they do. So I always appreciate that as well. All right, that has been the conclusion of this tornado coverage. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will talk with you again soon. Take care.